California wildfires, I'm Michelle Franzen. A fresh fire has broken out in Southern California, adding to the risks for fire crews up against fierce Santa Ana winds. The LA County Sheriff's Office confirming 5 deaths now in the Eaton fire near Altadena. Resident Paloma Marquez fled her home earlier this morning, but says she returned to do what she could.
I was already ready to give up. I was already telling my husband, let's just go. Let's just cut our losses and let's go. But he's like, no, we can't give up.
Another blaze. The Palisades fire is the most destructive now in LA City's history. At least 1,000 homes and structures destroyed. Nick Bertram is a senior at Palisades High School.
You look left and there's nothing, and then you look right and it's perfectly fine. It's really weird. But I went back past Methodist preschool, and I've never seen anything like that. It was engulfed in flames. It was almost scary.
The erratic flames and ferocious winds continuing for a second night. This is ABC News. A man accused of stockpiling the largest number of finished bombs in FBI history must stay in jail until trial.
Ruling that Brad Spofford has, in her words, shown the capacity for extreme danger, denying him bail, U.S. District Judge Arenda Allen in Norfolk, Virginia. A defense attorney says Spofford is married with 2 young daughters, has a steady job, and never threatened anybody, no criminal record. The judge says Spofford lost 3 fingers in an accident with some of the 150 homemade explosives seized at his home by investigators, plus an unregistered short-barrel rifle and a backpack labeled No Lives Matter.
ABC's Chuck Sievertson. College students could pay a little less to get their diplomas. The College Board says the average student attending an in-state public university this year faces a tuition bill of over $11,000. That is down 4% from a decade ago. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
The views and opinions of the following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Welcome to the Common Sense Conservatives, a political discussion group about current events and other government-related matters every Wednesday evening from 7 to 8 p.m. Right here on WSMN 1590 AM, WSMN 95.3 FM, and streaming live on wsmn.live. Making sense of the inverted reality we are subject to every day, the Common Sense Conservatives are here to help bring you back to reality. Now, your hosts, Chris Wyatt, Todd McKinley, and John Gorton.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Common Sense Conservatives. Another Wednesday night, and we're going to be here to talk it up. We've got both here. Chris Wyatt and Todd McKinley made it in this evening. Todd, man, you usually out there got a BOE meeting or something going on. I take it that's not happening at the moment.
Not on Wednesday nights, but sometimes I'll have meetings that I have to go to that that deal with the BOE or the Veterans Park or something like that. Any number of things.
Todd, you need to be honest. You're having clandestine meetings for a secret appointment of the Trump administration. We know all about it. Be honest.
He's going back in.
Well, it looks like that may very well happen as far as at least as an associate doing advanced work. So, but I don't want to speak too soon. It's still out there, but very likely we'll go work at the inaugural committee at least for 2 or 3 days up there during the inauguration. Hopefully, you guys will be up there.
Well, listen, I'm not a billionaire, so it probably puts me out of the running for this. Right. But when you get the Trumpsters here, please mention the ambassadorship in Pretoria. I'd be happy to go there. By the way, guys, was the news a little short tonight? It seemed just like 3 minutes of news. And do they just make up these diseases? Now we got something called geographic atrophy. I thought that was what people, they couldn't understand where Greenland was, geographic atrophy.
Right. Yeah. Well, we
I
have
have no idea.
yeah. Well, geography, because it doesn't the continents drift, over millions of years they drift, right? So they're not getting atrophy, right? They're moving around.
Well, I think that would be places that don't have plates that are shifting, like California
Okay.
or the Pacific Rim. So the rest of the planet
Sure.
has geographic atrophy. What the? Do they just make these things up, man? I think they make these drugs up and they come up with little jingles for them, and then you just want to have them. By the way, John, did you see my mug?
I absolutely do, man. That mug is awesome.
That's nice.
I don't know why I don't have mine here, man. I should have my mug here, man. We all should have a mug here holding up our Trump mugs.
Yeah, well, one way you've got the Trumpster on this side. I'm left-handed, so you'll see Trump all the time. And for the right-handers, you'll see a photograph of the White House and the inauguration on the other side.
There we go. Good.
Man, just a few more days. What do we got left? We got about 12 days?
12 days. 12, actually less than 12 days. So because it's afternoon now.
So in 12 days, do we end the period of Biden atrophy?
Right. Yeah. Biden will atrophy himself on over to Delaware, hopefully. And hopefully some criminal charges federally.
So nice. Trump did say he's going to reverse his executive orders here. All these erroneous, crappy executive orders. His permanent. What was that? His permanent ban on oil drilling in the Gulf or something.
Right.
Oh, good Lord. Don't get me started. Like, he's 625 million acres. I mean, that's larger than most countries in the world. He's banned. This is just window dressing, and it's not going to accomplish anything. It's just more things that Trump can accomplish in day one. Strike this down, strike that down, strike this down, strike that down. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, Trump has said it. Others are saying we are about to enter the golden age of America. It's so exciting. I'm really stoked. By the way, Todd, would you like to volunteer with me? If you don't go to the Trump administration, I will lead the militia that invades Greenland.
Right, takes over. Yeah, land at some random place and be like, "Yeah, we claim this for America." Pop a flag up and it's over.
You could be my command. You could be my command sergeant major.
The best part about that is as soon as you said that, Danny Meyer put up there, we could use a militia czar.
Right.
There you go. There you go. Well, we have the for the NGB, the National Guard Bureau has a member of the Joint Chiefs of Staff now, which is kind of weird. But listen, guys, I know it's John's lead, but I got to interrupt here. Look, you got to tell Trump it's not the Gulf of America, it's the Gulf of Americas, because it's between South America and North America. So let's fix that. And then, we don't need to invade, Greenland. All we got to do is give them a couple Starbucks. They'll come running, man. They'll be on our team.
Are you sure about that? Because it seems to me it's between Mexico and the United States. I don't know about South America. I mean, South America.
It's all the Americas, though.
Right. Yeah. All the Americas, Central America, South America. It's all three of them. The three sides of the Gulf of Mexico are surrounded by North America, Central America, and South America. It's the Gulf of the Americas. It's the Gulf of Americas.
But you make a very valid point. I like your take on it. I don't know why Trump would want to change the name. I don't know if he's just being antagonistic, but he sure did get the Mexican president's goat on it when she flipped out.
Yeah. Well, it's not just that. The European Union is freaking out too. They're going bat crap crazy now because Trump's talking about taking Greenland. Like, listen, Greenland has been colonized by Scandinavians since the year 986. The colonial period ended after the Second World War, but Greenland is still colonized. So maybe it's time to end European colonization of Greenland.
Absolutely. And he said he'd give him a fair price for it, so what's the problem? He's not going to
look. Instead of the $250 billion we gave to Ukraine, we could have bought Greenland.
Right.
I don't know why we're buying anything. They should be honored to become a state. I mean, what do we got to buy it for?
And it is on the North American plate. Am I right about that? It jets out that way.
It is part of North America. It absolutely is not part of Europe.
So no problem there. Yeah. So
it fits right in.
We're keeping with the theme, right? You're on the right plate. You're in the Americas, Gulf of Americas. Greenland. We can still call it Greenland. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think it's great.
I don't care. Yeah, that's fine.
I really want to get them all excited here. You ready for this? Since Greenland isn't really green, it's covered in ice and a lot of snow. Let's call it white land. Oh, dear goodness gracious. Here come the race hustlers. Who are you? What are you talking about? Calling that white land.
Right. But isn't it so funny, the psychological operations that went down with Iceland and Greenland and the naming of that to keep people away from one of them? I love that.
To be fair, though, and I know a fair amount about Greenland. I follow the Scandinavian settled islands of Greenland, the Faroes, Orkney and Shetland, Svalbard, all that stuff. To be fair, when Eric the Red went there, the climate was mild, and they brought sheep and goats, and they were able to do their grazing agriculture.
Okay.
Whereas the Dorset culture that was there, which died out while they were there, and then the Thule culture came in from Canada. The Thule culture was sea-based. The Inuit would hunt seals and such, and they get whales, and that's how they survived. They got everything, the bones, they used it for tools and everything. Whereas the Vikings were using traditional European sort of agriculture, and then the little ice age came in the 14th and 15th century, and it froze them out, and so it wasn't green. So it was green compared to Ireland. No, not Ireland, to Iceland. Definitely not compared to Ireland, but it was the Emerald Isle. But it was definitely green compared to Iceland, and so. Yeah, it was kind of a marketing strategy, but it was also true at the time. It's not like he lied.
Okay.
So, that they said that was kind of a fictitious story they made up about it. But, so you're telling me, Chris, that things froze over? So it wasn't global warming back then; it was global freezing, or what's going on? Did they have alerts about this, and did they change political policies regarding global freezing back in the day?
Well, they stopped burning coal. No. Actually, look. I mean, London, the Thames froze over. London was in deep freeze. There was a period there of like 3 decades where people were starving to death in Europe because they couldn't grow crops because it stayed cold for so long. So these lunatics, these climate zealots, this faith, this religion of climatology, not climatology, that's a bad use. The climate zealots. It's just it's the church of climate change, and these people are demonic. They are obsessed with this. They refuse to accept Greenland and Antarctic ice cores that go back hundreds of thousands of years to show the patterns and changes in weather. And we see the soot from huge volcanoes like Krakatoa, which blackened the sky, the entire planet for 3 years, and vegetation died all over the place. They are just like, oh, it's never been this hot before. Yeah, it has. 3 years ago. It's unbelievable. When they talk about this stuff, I remember we've never had hurricanes like this before. Hello, Hurricane Agnes when I was a kid. Wiped out Maryland and Pennsylvania, and it was the deadliest storm. And it's just nonsense.
Yeah, you've had the storms, but you didn't have people living in these shacks and these hotels or these houses right along beaches. Yeah,
building their McMansions and driving up my insurance costs when I'm 1,000 miles away from their disaster.
Exactly. I mean, think about the number of people back, in the 1800s that didn't even live near the beach. Now you got people right up on top of one another. Countless floors, 30, 40 floors, of course you're going to have damage. You're living in places that, people normally would never have lived before.
By the way, John, I was watching a YouTube video earlier today. Todd's spot on, by the way. But I was watching a YouTube video earlier today, and I thought of you and the Granite State because, my idea of renaming Greenland to Whiteland, maybe we should apply it to New Hampshire because I discovered that almost 94% of your population's white bread in New Hampshire. It's one of the whitest states in America. I think number two.
On all honesty, I grew up in Florida, and I'd spent a number of years up here in New Hampshire. And about mid 2000s, I went back to Florida. And I started looking around going, where'd all these black people come from? I don't mean that to be derogatory.
No, but you weren't accustomed to anybody else being around because you've been living in New Hampshire, the White Mountains.
And so it is predominantly white here in New Hampshire. I mean, we have Puerto Rican folks and we have black folks, and we do. I mean, we have our diversity, but it is small.
Right.
Comparatively to other states.
I mean, I've noticed, it's something you do notice, like whenever you travel somewhere, if you travel a lot or live somewhere, you stop seeing race and all the different things that you normally wouldn't see, say, in your hometown. I come back home for a few years, Northeast Tennessee, mostly white. Now, when I travel, it's like you start seeing things. It's like you pick up on that. And so it takes a while to basically get customized to where it's a normal everyday occurrence. It's not racist. It's just one of those things you notice.
Yeah. So we still got our bias. We hate on the French.
Well, no, I mean that's just ingrained.
No, it's not the French. It's the French Canadians. Be honest.
Yeah, no, but that's kind of ingrained in basically your I don't know if your basic survival skills, if you will, being able to recognize faces, shapes, if you will, and be able to recognize threats. People that are like you, are they in my family, in my clan, if you will? You go back far enough.
Well, it's
so that's why you notice things. Yeah,
it's cultural. So when I'm up here in New Hampshire, it feels like New Hampshire. When I went back home to Florida, I wasn't accustomed to Florida anymore. So I was seeing different cultural things happening around me that I wasn't accustomed to anymore, like you described earlier. So yeah, it's very much cultural. And I suppose that you're right. It's survival skills because your mind identifies with things, and we do tend to gravitate towards what we're familiar with.
Right.
You
I mean,
know.
you look up in the sky and see clouds, and you make shapes out of you. That looks like this. It looks like that. That's just basic survival skills, fight or flight, if you will.
So just for the record, for those listening, I didn't like cower and lock my car doors or anything. Nothing stupid like that.
On the other side of the street.
No.
Yeah, an observation is all you had there.
You
Yeah.
adapt right away again. You realize, oh yeah, I'm home. So
You guys don't see color, but I see dead people.
yeah, right.
They walk around like regular people, and they vote like regular people too every 4 years.
That's
Sure.
right. Yeah, I see them in Chicago, in New
Yeah.
York. Every election, I see dead people.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So you guys brought up New Hampshire here, and
Yes.
so World Population Review has done their
Mhm.
2024 ranking,
Mhm.
and they ranked New Hampshire once again number 1, Florida number 2, Nevada number 3, Tennessee number 4.
Okay.
South Dakota number 5, Indiana 6, Michigan 7, Georgia 8, Arizona 9, and Idaho 10. But then they kind of confusingly come down here and say, based on the rankings, Florida is the freest state in the United States. So I'm kind of confused how they made these rankings, down here when they show the rankings up here.
It's arbitrary. It's arbitrary.
Actually it is. They base it on findings of the Cato Institute.
I think it was, Cato. There you go. Cato's a leftist. I'm sure that,
No, they're libertarian, man.
Oh yeah, Cato. I'm sorry, that's Brookings. I was thinking
You're thinking of Brookings, yeah.
Brookings is leftist.
Yeah,
So,
well, look, I'm sure that Juicy Trudeau had something to do with that poll. Speaking of which, since we last spoke, Juicy has announced his retirement. I can't wait.
Yeah, gone. I love it.
He said he intends to resign. He didn't say he's resigning.
Oh no, he said he's resigning as the leader of the Liberal Party as soon as someone replaces him. Yeah, so he is going to resign. But of course, Angela Merkel said she's quitting 3 years from now when she announced it. I'm like, what is that? Why do we have to suffer 3 more years? And then she hung around for 3 more years.
That's what I'm saying. Why announce anything? Wait until it's time. I just don't believe it till I see it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, all I can say is ding dong, the witch is dead, the witch is dead, the witch is dead. Look, they're falling all over the place. These leftist lunatics are falling like timber in the forest. We got Jacinda Ardern in New Zealand, gone. Scott Morrison and Dan Andrews in Australia, gone. We're going to have Juicy Trudeau gone here shortly. The leftists are falling. And in the UK, Keir Starmer is not long for political office. That guy will be gone before summertime here in the Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, that'd be good to see that. I'd love to see all these people that are on the left, especially in charge of major countries, get pushed to the side, get voted out, become unpopular, and especially if you're looking at a lot of these places where you're having, the potential for a lot of riots. People are unhappy. The economies is crap in some of these places. No wonder people had enough of the other free stuff. It's not sustainable.
Well, I will state this right now. If Donald Trump acquires the Faroe Islands, because one of the people mentioned in our chat, if they acquire the Faroe Islands, I'm building a house and I'm moving there part of the year. I've been to the Faroe Islands, and if I don't need a visa to go there because it's U.S. territory, you can count me in. I will be there, and I will be video logging from there, and we'll have some great shows. I will learn Faroese. It's a language spoken by about 50,000 people, and I'll have to learn it.
So are we developing you in the United States empire now? We're just nation collecting, or what's going on here?
You know what? The leftists have been saying American empire for years. So you know what? It's time to make it an empire.
Hey, you know what? If they choose to decide to join the United States and become a state or a territory, that's on them. I mean, it's like Denmark said about Greenland. They got to make a choice what they want. It's only, I think, 57,000 residents, but
correct. Yep.
They've got to make a choice of what they want, and it might better benefit them to be part of the United States.
Yeah, they probably pay more to actually administer it than it is actually worth to them. Maybe I'm not sure.
Well, here's the thing. I'll be selling new merchandise, not MAGA, but mega merchandise. Make empires great again.
Yeah, well, empires.
He's on it, man. He's jumping it, man.
Right. I want the Canal Zone. I want Nova Scotia. I want Alberta, Saskatchewan. You can keep Ontario. I'll take Quebec if I can turn Quebec City into a theme park, and we keep the St. Lawrence Seaway. And I want Greenland and the Faroe Islands. Let Iceland stay free because it's just too much of a headache.
So regarding renaming things, isn't that what we kind of did anyway? I mean, we don't call Spain's not Spain; it's Hispaniola, right? French is not French.
España, which is Spanish, yes.
Right. So, but we name things our own name anyway. I mean, except for some countries, we call them by their own name. Japan's not Japan; it's Nippon.
Right. Well, I mean, look, Germany is not Germany; it's Deutschland, of course. And then it's not even in Denmark. It's not even called Deutschland; it's called Tyskland. That's what they call it. So, every country is different. We are not the United States. We're the Les États-Unis in French. So there you go. So, yeah, I think we should go ahead and rename it. And look, I'm looking forward to Mount Rainier's name being restored instead of Mount Denali. I'm also looking forward to Fort Bragg, Fort Rucker, Fort Hood, all coming back. The names we know for generations, as if anybody even knew they were named after Confederate, generals. No, almost nobody knew that except for the daughters of the Confederacy.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. And they're talking about, obviously they got rid of Fort Bragg, now Fort Liberty, I mean, come on. You could have at least named it after some kick butt paratrooper special operations guy from way back when, not Fort Liberty. I mean, come on.
How about Fort York, named after Sergeant Alvin York? That would have been awesome.
Go. 82nd Division. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Seriously. It's just, the left is so stupid. They're not even original. It's just, it's
Tony says Quebec will be the first province to join the United States. They've been trying to leave many times.
Oh, yeah.
Now that's 2 languages I got to learn. I still haven't got my Spanish down, and now I've got to learn French.
You're not going to make me learn Spanish. I speak 6 languages, and I'm not learning it. Mais les Français avec les Québécois, je suis très content avec les Québécois. On peut joindre notre pays. Ça, c'est formidable pour les Québécois. Oui.
You just got to prioritize your Spanish. You can get by with uno mas cerveza por favor, and you'll do well in baños.
I
you know what the restrooms are. You know how to get a beer.
Why would I go to Mexico when the biggest beer drank in America is Modelo? It's already a Mexican beer. Why would I even have to go to Mexico? You just go to a local bar and get it. No. The only language I need to speak to get a beer is Ein Weizen bitte. That's all I need to know.
Ein Hefe, yeah.
You're going to travel a long ways for the good stuff. I'll tell you what.
Yeah. Well, anyway. Yeah, but the Canadians, I don't think they were just trolling, a little juicy to push him into quit. So he'll quit, and then the Conservatives come back into power because they're dominating the polls right now in a snap election. And then Canada can try to claw its way back to reality by shutting its borders down. Not just a border with us, but the mass invasion that's happening in Canada, which is diluting and changing the nation. The First Nations becoming tertiary interest instead of a primary interest, along with the population. So Canada can, it'll be fine, and we don't want Mexico. But look, I'm all for. Look, we bought the Virgin Islands. That was in the 20th century. People forget that. They act like that's one thing I saw is that you can't buy a country. People are there. You can't buy people.
Yes,
people buy countries all the time. Louisiana purchased, the Gadsden purchased, Seward's Folly, Alaska, and then of course we bought the Virgin Islands from Denmark back in the 20th century. So get over yourselves.
Since the beginning of civilizations, you've had kingdoms that would bequeath to another kingdom, or intermarriage or whatever, and possession essentially changes hands to a different family who wasn't from that country. These things happen for sure since the beginning of civilization. So yeah, you can absolutely.
Is that what happened to Puerto Rico? They didn't want to become a state because we didn't offer them anything?
No. Spanish-American War. We beat them and it became a territory. 1902.
No. I'm saying, but they didn't want to become a state like years ago.
They have voted a number of times.
Well, there's 3 equal divisions in Puerto Rico. There's 1/3 of the electorate that wants to become state, they want statehood, 1/3 that wants independence, and 1/3 that wants the continued territorial status. So it's not going anywhere. That's been the case for a long time. Right. All the people that want to make a difference are all living in New York. If they go back to Puerto Rico, maybe it would change.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they like living in North America, where especially in New York, where they can make a heck of a lot more money. And of course, they can send that back there. And of course, have their family back there. But not have to live, with the threat of a hurricane every 5 seconds for sure.
So we got a question: how is the UFO invasion going? Are they being deported too? I want to see some UFOs. Come on,
That's
show me some space aliens.
That's one of my viewers in South Africa. He's up late. Must be. Look, I don't know what's in my cup here because our French, not our French, but our Canadian viewer there, Tony Nage, up in the oil sands of Alberta, couldn't understand my French. So there must be something in this mug that's alcohol, because I must not have been speaking clear French.
But I think it was sent to you with hot cocoa, so hot cocoa mix. But
I didn't have the hot cocoa. It's actually I'm just trying to joke around here, but seriously, look, I mean, there's a degree of trolling here, but there's some truth to what Trump is saying. This is what I predict. Let's see if it comes true. Okay, this is a bold prediction.
No, do I need to write this down?
If you want, that's
Well, it's being recorded. It's being recorded.
Well, there's that. There's that. So this is my prediction. We will wind up with a treaty with Panama at a minimum that grants access for a U.S. military presence in the Panama Canal Zone. We will restore at least 2 military bases down there, a naval base and a ground base. with an airbase on it as well, in the Panama Canal Zone, and it will probably be for free. Or we'll pay a token amount like $1 a year for like a 100-year lease or something like that. And the Chinese will be kicked out of the canal zone. This is what I predict. Otherwise, Trump is going to destroy Panama. He'll absolutely destroy them. We cannot allow this to happen. The Chinese are taking over ports all over the world. They're controlling everything, and they're malicious actors. If they were benign actors like Japan, it'd be okay, but they're malicious actors. Remember the 1980s? The Japanese are buying everything. They're going to take over the country. Nah, they overreached, they overstretched, and they were never a threat anyway because Japan has been our friend for decades now, not like the Second World War. But China's not our friend, and the communists have never been our friend, and communists will never be our friend. So that's a prediction I'm making. As far as Greenland, I suspect, now in 79, they went for self-rule. They got limited autonomy. In 2008 or 2009, they got self-rule as a territory with Denmark running their foreign policy and their defense. I suspect there's already been a movement amongst Greenlanders for independence for a long time. I think now it will pick up pace. And with the support of Trump, if Greenland doesn't become a U.S. territory, it will become an independent nation. Watch. We got 4 years to see if it happens.
Do they have that capability?
Sure, why not? A country of 57,000. Luxembourg is, it's bigger population, but you've got San Marino. It's a country. It's got a small population. You got Andorra with a small population. They can do it. You got all these Caribbean islands that have small populations. They can make it on their own. Yeah.
Right. I know they were saying something about economically. Greenland was relying a lot. I guess that's why Denmark is. They support them or something like that. They rely on their economy. I'm not sure entirely how that works, about their fishing and stuff like that.
Well, 90% of their export earnings come from fishing, from shrimp and fish. So that's a big deal. But the thing is that they don't have the mass and the capital to exploit minerals, but they're there. So that's one reason why China's been moving in. And in fact, the video I'm producing now, I've got a clip of a Greenlander saying, he says, so what do you think of Donald Trump? And he goes, what should Donald Trump do, Green? Buy us. And they're like, why would you want Trump to buy you? Because we're tired of the Chinese coming in here, Chinese government trying to take over our country. So, I mean, that's, you need investment to exploit that stuff, and a deal that works out so that the people in the country benefit from it. Some of the money comes back in the form of royalties or payments back to the population, and then things go well. But remember that 57,000 includes about 4,250 Danes who are there as Danish citizens living in Greenland. So, I mean, they'll probably hang around, but if some of them leave, that'll drop the population a little bit. But I think that Greenland can survive. It's just but it's too geographically important, too geopolitically important. The strategic location, particularly with the Northwest Passage being open during the winter sometimes now, where ships can transit through. It's a much shorter passage between Europe and Asia going through the Northwest Passage in that narrow space than going down to the Panama Canal. It saves a ton of money. So we cannot allow that to fall under the control or the influence of China or Russia. Even if they were our friends, we shouldn't allow that. So Trump is the right president at the right time, instead of the idiot, the guy who is the spokesman for Depends, leaving the White House in about 10 days.
Oh, they say there's a 100-year cycle. So you'll have a dominating country for about 100 years, and we're supposedly in the 80-year cycle, the 80-year part of that cycle. And the claim is that China wants to be the next dominant country in the globe. That's why they're working so aggressively to dominate in the globe as of right now. So when that cycle runs out for the United States, they'll be there to take over. You see anything in that?
I'm not sure I understood what you're saying. You're saying that the power for countries goes in cycles and ours is waning and the Chinese are there to take over. Is that what you're saying?
That's basically it. Yeah, they say it's about a 100-year cycle that countries will be a global superpower. I think England was for about 100 years or so like that. I remember they had like a 99-year contract with Hong Kong that ran out in 1980s and stuff. But they, you remember they had control of India in the
you're talking about the empire, though, the British Empire.
Yeah,
I
would argue the British Empire was ascendant and powerful for 250 years, 2.5 centuries.
Yeah.
When they defeated the Spanish Armada, that's when England became a global power, and its navy became the navy that eventually ruled the seas, and they spread their wings all over. They colonized multiple continents, and that's why English is a dominant language in so many spheres of life today: science, technology, linguistics. So I would argue that was 250-year run for them. For us, you could argue that our run really began in about 1918. You could certainly make the argument it began in 1940. That's for sure. But no, it's so I don't know if we're in that cycle where we're going down. I think we actually, so twice now in our lifetimes, We've been told that it's over. It's done. It's toast. It's over. 1979, America is falling. It's collapsing, and we saw the precipitating cause of that in 1973 with the Arab oil embargo, gas lines, cars parked down the street trying to get gasoline for it wasn't there. I'll never forget that horrific situation. And these leftists have forgotten that. That kind of precipitated all the stuff that happened. We had that, the embarrassing withdrawal from South Vietnam and the collapse of the South Vietnamese in 1973. And then we had the bicentennial, which you got excited about for a couple of years, and then it all fell apart again. The Shah was overthrown. Oil prices skyrocketed. The Russians invaded Afghanistan. The only bright spot there was we won the gold medal at Lake Placid in hockey. But everything was going sideways. Inflation was high. America was collapsing. Unemployment was high. And then Ronald Reagan came along. Tax cuts. And America roared back. And we're the most powerful nation in the world. Everybody wanted our currency. The dollar was super dollar back in 1985, already that quickly. Mm-hmm. And we were written off. We were completely written off. We've been written off again. And now, and we're being told we're not going to go anywhere. The economy can't grow. That's nonsense. Our economy can grow at 3.2% every year if it's healthy, if the government stays out of the way. That's the bottom line. The problem is that the government gets in the way and they undermine us. All this money they give away. So we are on the cusp of a golden age if we have the courage to grasp the nettle. And that's the bottom line. We need the cowards in the House of Representatives and the cowards in the Senate to grasp the nettle. And we need Trump to be bold, and he certainly is talking bold, and I hope he follows through on it.
I think his past actions have been pretty bold. Yeah, I never really bought into the 100-year cycle theory. I thought that was nonsense and probably propaganda, to mentally condition people to accept an unrealistic fate. There's no reason for America to fall.
No, it's true. Yeah, absolutely. And Nick, you said talking about Donald Trump, but think about this time. He has 4 years of experience, 4 years of watching what doesn't work. And now he's got a team around him who's ready to support his agenda. He didn't have to go out beg, bar, and steal people who are from Washington or elsewhere. He has an actual team who are loyal to President Trump and the nation. So I think it's going to be a heck of a lot different the next 4 years.
Well, I think you're right about that. It's definitely going to be a lot different here. So, there's a comment in the chat here, I think joking, but it says, what if Trump acquired Madagascar? Well, I think that the bottom line is that lemurs' lives matter. So
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Just so people know that. Anyway, but folks, get your mega gear. Make empires great again. Get your mega gear.
The benevolent empires, though, right? It's what
but let's talk about Justin Trudeau, this man who violated the Canadian Charter of Rights, basic rights, introduced ironically by his father, Pierre Trudeau. Canada doesn't have a constitution like we do. This went into effect in 1981, if I recall correctly, and it guaranteed basically kind of like our Bill of Rights, the freedom of movement, speech, assembly, and all that sort of stuff. And what does this guy do? He just abrogates it, and he uses terrorism laws to go after Canadian citizens. Why? Because they annoyed him and they embarrassed him with their rallies in Ottawa. Right. That is a crime against humanity. They shut down their accounts. They destroyed their businesses. They destroyed lives because these people oppose the government of the day. That is tyranny. And I want to see warrants issued for his arrest. And I hope that he spends time in jail, but the Canadians won't do it. They're too mellow.
Yeah. They'll let him off. What was that all about? You did a bad thing. Now get out of here. And then you'll forget. And that's it.
I think we've grown pretty soft ourselves.
Oh, in a lot of ways. Absolutely. We have. And it shows. And it's why we're, trillions of dollars in debt. It's why, Biden was able to just give away $500 million worth of our stockpiled weapons, just no problem. Unilaterally just did it. Doesn't even ask Congress. No wonder we're soft, And of course, we continue to elect and reelect the same types of people that go along to get along, or the people that are just there for their own gratification, for their own self-aggrandizement or their own enrichment. And I think that's what we got to get away from.
We need two things. We need to go back to getting a rail, to run them out on a rail, and we need some tar and we need some feathers.
I was just going to say, that's when you tar and feathers.
Well, but Biden put the tar industry out of business, though. We got to look at that.
We will find super glue if need be, but let's get something going here.
I'm sure we can contact Purdue and get plenty of feathers.
There we go. We'll be all right.
It's the one nice thing about the Canadians, is the Red Green Show is one of my favorite shows. And, I always say, remember, if women don't find you handsome, at least they should find you handy.
That's right.
Right, and keep you around, right?
That's right. Well, and then get yourself a couple rolls of duct tape. You can make anything work.
Yeah, this guy's a genius.
The Canadians are just like the Army, man. They get 100-mile-an-hour tape, and you put it on it. It's look, you're flying in a plane, the engine is falling off. Hey, climb out in the wing, put some 100-mile-an-hour tape around the thing.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you talk about the Army, working with the Canadian Army, jumping out of planes with them and they're doing all kinds of things, different exercises and just being around them, how much alike they are to the U.S. military in so many ways, the jokes, the mannerism, their tactics and so many other things. It's just almost seamless, except that you have the accent is slightly different. It's like, you guys are almost Americans. I mean, come on. Almost.
We've had a lot of good comedians come out of
Sure.
Canada,
Yeah. Comedians. Comedians. Absolutely. Second City Television. I mean, all those people were great.
In the world of counterintelligence, I was always easy when I would interrogate, suspected Canadian spies. I just get them to tell me about things, and then we just got them right there.
You got me.
Anyway, and when they trip up and say First Nations instead of Native Americans, we've always got them there. Or better yet, when they sit down with you and you visit them in Canada and they pretend they're not Canadian, and then they start a business session by, we apologize for our theft of the Adirondack tribe's land, which we're illegally occupying here now for this meeting. Please forgive us. Just sit.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever seen a Canadian government activities. Every time they do that, they apologize for the land they're occupying. I'm like, get over it, man.
Yeah,
that's ridiculousness to me. I mean, I despise self-loathing. I think it's
people
ridiculous.
since human beings, came out of Africa, and Asia, they've been taking people's land, occupying and killing the people, whatever. I mean, this has been going on since humans have decided to form tribes, if you will. I mean, so that's nothing new.
Yeah, well, keep your stick on the ice.
There you go. All right. Yeah, they don't tolerate icing up there. I know that.
I love Canada. I love Canada. It's ruined by the left, but maybe it'll come back. Maybe Canada will come back. We'll see.
Oh, yeah, so many great things up there for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Got maple syrup. You got moose. It used to be the Mounties, but they've turned out to be wusses, and they didn't fight the political nonsense. Canada's a wonderful place, and I'll tell you though, I've told this story before. One of the most annoying people I ever met, ironically, was a Canadian. I was in Estonia. And I got on a ferry to go out to Himu and Saaremaa, the islands just off the coast there. And I was, out on the deck of the boat and chatting. This guy doing something. This guy came up. We started chatting. Turned out he was Canadian. He was traveling on vacation. He didn't have a vehicle, so he was just kind of hitchhiking. Didn't he have a rucksack? Remember? Or did he have maybe he had a small rucksack? Anyway, yeah. So we're talking, and I said, he said, "How you get around?" I said, "I got a car." So he said, "Oh, I'm walking." I said, "Well, I can give you a lift if you like." He said, "Sure." So I give him a lift when we get off the boat. And then, we start talking. He finds out in the Army. And oh, my gosh, that I'm in the American Army. Oh, my gosh. And George Bush is a war criminal and on and on. Like, Americans are like, oh, dude, just get out. Get out right now.
Yeah.
I'm like, I gave you a ride. And you're going to sit here and castigate me for something I have nothing to do with. Boy. Yeah, that's just Mr. Know-It-All. Didn't even know what he's talking about. But anyway.
Yeah. My one vote, whether I voted for him or against him, had anything to do with that. Come on. Plus, he's not like he's my neighbor and my best friend. Come on. I can't call him up and chew him out. Leave it alone.
And it's everything he said was just against America. I'm like, dude, you're from Canada. It's like the 51st state. Get a grip.
Right. Yeah. We have a lot of shared history here, people. Come on. So let's not pretend.
That's right. All the Tories fled to Canada.
Right. I mean, you think about it. Who founded Canada essentially is the people who came from where we come from. There's no difference here. Come on.
Except for the Quebecois. That's a difference. Yeah.
That's a little bit different. I mean, the French are always a little bit odd in my book. So let's just leave it at that.
Oh, put it out there. Why don't you?
No, I'm kidding, of course, but I'm not.
Well, how you like them freedom fries, man?
I've heard that in forever.
Liberty cabbage.
Yeah.
Liberty cabbage.
Yeah, I'm not a big fry eater. I like sweet potato fries. That's about it.
Oh man, something's wrong with you. You must not be Irish enough. I don't know what it is. What are you? What are you? Scottish? Not Irish?
I've had enough potatoes, so I in my life, so I'm good. With
There's no such thing. Everything should have potato in it.
No, I'm good.
So do you know what actually got me curious about the world? One of the things that made me curious when I was younger and made me inquisitive about what's going on is we learned as kids about the potato famine in Ireland and why so many Irish came to America. And the way the story is told in school, when you're in school, it's almost as if like potatoes came from Ireland. I mean, that was the impression I was left with. And so I forget what I was doing, but one day, because I was on a farm, I went up on a farm later on, but it was before that. One day, for some reason, I went looking in the library to find out more about potatoes and found out that they're actually from the Americas. They're not even from Europe, let alone Ireland. They were taken over there. And I'm like, okay. And it made me start thinking about what I'm being taught in school. I mean, people, they led me to believe that they came from Ireland, and they never had potatoes in Ireland before we discovered the Americas. You know, it's the same with like corn. Corn is all over the world. It's interesting. You go places and people presume that the staple of the place comes from there, right? So Ireland, a lot of people presume that potato comes from Ireland. Not even remotely true. In Africa, a lot of people presume that corn comes from Africa when it comes from Americas. And then you also have a lot of Africans that think chickens come from Africa. Nope, they come from Asia. And I think rice comes from Africa because they have rice they raise. No, it comes from Asia. Fascinating just how ubiquitous and how widespread innovations in agricultural products, they just spread around the planet so quick, like a virus.
Yeah, coffee was a big thing. Yeah, that was a big
but
thing.
I think everyone knows coffee comes from a certain latitude. You certainly don't grow it in Ohio or
no,
Pennsylvania.
of course not. Of course not. You know, it may have started in one country, but now that we can travel around the world, we can move it somewhere and it can grow in different climates. And of course, you can create an economy for people that live there.
As long as it's within that latitude, that band, you know, there's a certain band close to the equator where coffee can grow.
Right.
The altitude isn't the issue, although it does grow at a certain altitude. But the real issue is that band, because of the conditions that are ever present. No, coffee's fascinating. Of course, I lived in Ethiopia, and the Ethiopians have their whole origin story of coffee and their coffee ceremony, and how a young herder boy was out and his goats started acting all goofy, and he's wondering why. And he discovered it was because they were chewing on these fruits off this tree, which are coffee. Now, the thing that gets me is that if you ever tasted coffee off a bush, ew. What a vile tasting substance. Why would you ever eat that stuff? I mean, goats eat anything, so I get that. But humans, that's like eating puffer fish. Who came up with that idea? So you take one, you cook it, the first guy dies and goes, cook it a little bit longer. Okay, now it's fine. What is that?
Right. Yeah, cook it a little bit longer. Yeah, that's it.
What's going on there, man?
Yeah, but we got to the point where, you know, you talk about berries, you know, they're growing on a bush, and it's like, how did you get to the point where we grind them, or we do all these refining, or we smoke them, or we get to the point where you have roast them, so many different types of, you know, strands of beans, you know, it's like, oh, this one will taste like this one will taste like that. Mix these together. It's like, wow, it's just unbelievable what the humans can come up with. I mean, if they put their minds to it, and given thousands of years of patience, I guess we can do a lot of things.
It's fascinating how we've increased the different variety and species of coffee by the cultivation of it, different coffee types, while at the opposite end of the spectrum, we've eliminated hundreds, if not thousands, of varieties of corn. Yeah. Because of the commercial agriculture and the big yellow stalk, corn cobs, and so many varieties of, is it heirloom? Is that the right term? Heirloom corn are just, just disappeared. They're gone. You know, I mean, when I was a kid, remember you used to get Indian corn, you know, it had purple.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
It's still around, but it's not ubiquitous. It used to be every Halloween. You'd see that. I don't see anybody putting stalks of Indian corn out anymore.
Actually, I forgot all about it until just now.
See, it's the commoditization of things, and there's some disadvantage to this because, you know, there's different genetic strains with different, you know, resistance to certain things, and if you lose a bunch of that, and then some weevil or virus or bacteria comes along, and it can just wipe out everything. And look what happened to our what was it, the which trees got wiped out in the first part of the 20th century here on the East Coast of the United States. Not willow. What's this? Oh, I can't remember now. But we had the trees in the East just completely wiped out by gosh bless it. I'll think of it in a minute. But anyway, you guys talk. I'll look it up.
All right, not a problem. But do you think some of that had to do with the fact that we subsidize a lot of the farmers, or maybe not? Maybe
that definitely has a big role in it. That's for sure, because of ethanol production.
Yeah. Okay.
I think too that what Chris is talking about with the corns, I think the yellow corn probably
elm. Okay, you got it. Yeah.
I didn't finish typing. I remember it's elm disease. Yeah, it was the elm trees wiped out.
Elm trees used to
be before we were born. Elm trees were everywhere on the East Coast of the United States, and they were just absolutely wiped out. Yeah. There's still elm trees around, but not many.
It's like milk to cheese and yogurt. Who ate rotten milk first?
Right. Yeah. How do you discover, you know, you can't combine these things together? You know, somebody had to do it the first time, right?
It's like oysters. You know, the Timucuan Indians in Florida, they used to thrive off oysters. I mean, that's basically, it was a staple for them. And they got these mounds where they used to take the oyster shells and just dump them. And, you know, dirt and grass grew over them over years and stuff. So they got these oyster mounds and stuff. And whoever thought to eat oysters, man? I mean, their whole purpose in life just is a turnoff all by itself. But, yeah, man, they're cracking open up oysters and eating them all day.
Yeah. So Dutch elm disease, a fungal disease that ravaged the American elm, caused catastrophic die-offs in cities across its range. Estimated that only 1 in 100,000 American elm trees is resistant to Dutch elm disease. They're tolerant to it. So most of the known survivors escaped it because the disease just didn't quite reach them. Yeah, they just Dutch elm disease wiped out so many of these trees. Anyway, I thought that was interesting, but didn't really see elms much as a kid because they're already gone.
At least it was more natural as opposed to a bunch of men in a train shooting at buffalo as it went by.
Oh yeah, I mean, just decimated an entire beautiful species.
There's no such thing as American buffalo anymore. They had to bring a different breed of buffalo into this country.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Chris is looking confused. Is that right? Look that up, man. No, there's no such thing as American buffalo. I don't know if they had to breed them in or if they just had to have a different buffalo altogether. But the American buffalo were bigger.
The American bison dropped to less than 300 head that were mostly in private game reserves when we started conservation efforts. And the current American bison are derived from that. Now there's beefalo too, from the mixing of cattle and buffalo, but that's a different situation. But the bison, we kept the bison. Now there was a giant bison back thousands of years ago. That's probably related distantly, but it's not the same creature that the guys were shooting at from trains, on the plains. So
to my understanding, they brought like some European bison or something like that, and the 300 headed cattle you were talking about. So they were actually they're actually a smaller breed today than what they were back in the 1800s before they decimated them.
Now you got me want to take a look here.
Yeah, that's how I remember. It's been a lot of years since I've looked at that, but that's how I remembered it. Got the guy stumped.
No,
I feel like I should be playing Jeopardy.
Not buying it. Let's see.
No, I don't blame you, man. I mean, like I said, it's been a long time since I've read that. So if you prove me wrong, then I guess that'll be a reason why. But as far as I know, that's how it went down. They had mountains.
Here we go. Bison went from numbering an estimated 60 million before the 1870s to become nearly extinct in the 1880s. That's pretty quick. Mass slaughtering in the 1870s, which was caused by plains bison population to undergo a population bottleneck, resulted in a founding population of just 100 individuals split into 6 herds, 5 of which were managed by private ranchers and 1 managed by the New York Zoological Park. Additionally, a wild herd consisting of 25 individuals in Yellowstone survived the bottleneck. Wow. So from that, that's what came back from that small number. Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And there's 2 species here. I think that's what you're maybe.
There's a wood bison and a plains bison.
Yeah. Yeah. The 2 different. Okay. I think one's slightly smaller than the other. They look a lot alike though.
So in the year 2000, the population in North America was estimated at 360,000. That's up from 100 individuals. 1889, they had 541 total. And by 2000 was 360,000. So it's north of that now, somewhere around 400, 450,000, depending who you talk to. But it's not like it once was, but it couldn't possibly be. I mean, if you had 60 million bison running across the plains, there'd be an awful lot of traffic accidents.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, but the indiscriminate killing, kind of like, the wild game, the big game hunters in Africa that just hunted these things to extinction. Of course, the Romans did a lot of that themselves, trying to have animals, killing animals all day, every day in the Coliseum.
They did it for entertainment, but they weren't doing it in mass quantity.
Yeah, but they probably ran a number of species to extinction in Africa, very close to it. Because
the dodo was wiped out in Mauritius by predation, and then we saw that much of the kiwi species were obliterated in the New Zealand by the Pacific Islanders who arrived there, who just found them to be have no fear of humans. They walked up and bopped them in the head and killed them in mass and ate them. So there's only a small number of kiwis left in some of remote islands, but it's just a shame. But that's the nature of life. The strong survive, I suppose.
Well, lions don't hunt the fastest or the strongest of gazelle, right?
No, that's why they hunt in packs. Yeah. Just like wild dogs, they hunt in packs because the lions have the strength. They don't have the stamina to run for a long time. Cheetahs have the speed, but not the stamina. So cheetahs have to sneak up on their prey and then bolt on top of it before it gets away, because they can run faster than anyone briefly.
Right.
Yeah. So leopards have to be very clever too. They've got a combination of the speed, a little bit of the stamina, and the way they hunt is a little bit different. But lions hunt in packs, and so do dogs. In Africa, I've sat around and watched a pack of wild dogs hunt. and then just kind of chill out, and be dogs. It's like watching your dogs at home, but they're not quite the same. And I also I watched lions go on a hunt, and they took down a gemsbok, which is an oryx, I think is what they call it in English.
Man.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I've never seen it up close in the wild. I watched a number of documentaries, and like you said, they'll sit there and it'll kind of be like little pups or whatever. The next thing you know, when they go out hunting, it's like they know who's in charge, they know who's the alpha, and they follow along appropriate. Everybody does their job, and it's kind of wild how they communicate with one another. Just watching that, you have your home little pups or whatever. They lost that a long time ago, and occasionally we'll display a little bit of some of that, but don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, one of our viewers said the last northern white rhino died a couple years ago. I think I need to correct that statement. The last male northern white rhino died in captivity, but they harvested his semen for a long time before he died. There are 2 northern white rhinos still left alive, to my knowledge, in captivity. They're both females, but they're having a very hard time because the one is in her 30s and really past her prime, and the others, I don't know if she's fertile or not. So the species is likely to go extinct, although it's possible if they can harvest the eggs from them and do in vitro into another rhino, that maybe they can save the species, but we'll see. But that creates a credible bottleneck, and so that species will come back and be very fragile from just 2 individuals, and you have to reproduce, which create all kinds of problems. So yeah, pretty sad. That's a needless wiping out, needless killing. Same with elephants and rhinos. It's needless. No reason to kill these animals. They're not killing them for the meat. They're killing them for the dead skin, the keratin that forms their horns. It's pretty sick. And of course, the Chinese using that for erections. Why don't we just give them Viagra? It's a lot cheaper.
Yeah, here you go. They have the labs to be able to produce it, right? Instead of producing these Wuhan viruses, produce that and go have fun.
You mean they didn't find it and reverse engineer it and start selling it back to us?
Yeah, I'm sure they could or have probably.
But I want Greenland.
Yeah. But speaking of northern white rhinos, the Republican Party still has quite a few of them, still floating around.
Yes, they are all northern white rhinos. You got Murkowski, you've got Collins, northern white rhinos.
And in fact, they just eliminated one, didn't they, down there in Georgia? Lieutenant Governor.
I missed that.
Yeah. They chose to censure a lieutenant governor of Georgia due to his support for Democrats and anti-Trump rhetoric. So he, I think he was actually campaigning or supporting Harris or something stupid like that. So they're like, you know what? You're not playing that game.
So what would be really fascinating? One of the viewers kind of alluded to this a moment ago. If George Clooney and Julia Roberts and Howard Stern, all these lunatics who threatened to move to Canada, just go ahead and move there, and then it becomes part of America. That's too funny. That would be so cool. Yeah, no, I think we're going to wind up with a treaty that's favorable for the Panama Canal Zone. Trump will probably sponsor or encourage Greenland's independence, and we'll see what happens from there. And I think that Canada and the U.S. just have better relations once the leftists are gone, but it's not going to become part of the United States. It's part of the Commonwealth. That's not going to happen.
Do you think Trump plays this game of poking at people to kind of destabilize their thought processes and then approaches them?
Well, I think some of it's that. It's definitely trolling, but it's also, he's serious about this stuff. I think the Canal Zone, he's dead serious about.
Oh, yeah.
I think Greenland he's serious about too, but the Canada thing, I think he's just joking with that.
Well, one thing there's enough of is the United States of America paying the way for the rest of the world. He's right. Yeah. At some point, that's got to stop. We got to reverse that. People need to start paying their fair share,
Yeah, I agree with you. But think about this. Every time Trump has poked somebody, especially after being elected this time, something has went his way with Mexico, with Canada, plus Trudeau resigning, the finance minister resigned, talking about Greenland and talking about all sorts of these other things, the Panama Canal, all these things. Every time he pokes, he's gotten something for America. And then the other day, there was somebody, a foreign investor that came here and said he was going to invest like $20 billion, like basically day one on Trump's administration, into America, with many more billions to follow that, which I think that's great. And there's going to be more people that are going to be investing in America.
Well, the last time around, he was busy poking fun at Kim Jong-un, calling him Little Kim, which irritated Kim, and he demanded, satisfaction, essentially. So Trump said, hey, let's meet. And all he wanted was his ego stroked. When Trump stroked his ego and he looked important on the world stage, little chubby Chia Pet went home and stopped launching intercontinental ballistic missiles over the Sea of Japan, which is what Trump wanted. Once Trump left, within days, they start launching missiles again. What is Joe Biden doing? Eating chocolate chip ice cream, I guess, because he said nothing.
Anyway. Bumbled the Afghanistan withdrawal, allowed Ukraine to be invaded. Many other things. Global pandemic. The economic collapse almost of the nation or the world. Really, many people losing their jobs, livelihoods. Businesses going under. People losing freedoms and all sorts of people are going to prison for really no reason. Investigations for no reason because of political reasons. So many things Joe Biden has done. Glad he's leaving in a few days. He's still trying to do as much damage as he can on his way out, though.
Well, he did say that he was going to do everything he can to facilitate a smooth transfer of power. When does that start?
Yeah, right. Yeah. When's he going to be awake?
He's blocking off, a quarter of the surface area of the nation at sea for oil exploration. He has just concluded a climate deal with Mauritania. He's taking one action after another, all of which are, of course, going to require action by Trump to rescind it, just so he can claim he did it. That's, and the Democrats still defend this guy. They're not embarrassed by their support for Biden whatsoever. They are so disconnected from reality. They think Americans actually like that. And it's not. Biden is a disaster. The Democrats are a disaster, and they're just arrogant. You know what? More power to them. Just continue to remain tone deaf. All we got to do is get rid of some rhinos now, and then everything comes back in order. So we'll focus on the rhinos right now. And then we'll use Scott Pressler to go to New Jersey to turn it red. And when he's done there, we'll move on to the next one and we'll turn red.
Did people actually say that's an intention of his, or were you just kind of throwing that?
No. He said in New Jersey in the next election. Yep. He wants New Jersey to go red. It's within a reasonable distance, Quite frankly, although I think it's an impossible task because New York is always a draw for people from abroad who come with crazy ideas. But the gap in New York narrowed so much in this election that, it's not beyond the realm of possibility that a candidate as popular as Trump could win it, in another election. But anyway, New Jersey is doable. I don't think New York is doable. New Jersey was very close this time. Right. And, frankly, we shouldn't have lost New Hampshire. There needs to be more. We need a Scott Pressler in New Hampshire. I think it's embarrassing that Trump didn't win New Hampshire. He should have won New Hampshire.
I agree.
I'm upset with New Hampshire.
I agree with that. It's incredible. Like I say, we New Hampshire is strong for state politics staying red, but federal politics is blue all the way. Goodlander beat Tang. It's like, wow, really?
Yeah, I don't understand. I get how people can do split tickets occasionally. Maybe back in the day, whenever people were pretty much politically aligned, maybe a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left, but generally the same. I can see split tickets there. But the people are split ticketing these days, it makes no sense. A far left person, and a far right person sometimes, or that makes no sense. If you're moderate left, moderate right, I could get on board with that. But not somebody, far to the left, for crying out loud. That's crazy. It's ridiculous.
Well, see, some of New Hampshire's problem is we may be number one in one of the most free states in the U.S., but we're surrounded by 30s and 40s, Maine, Massachusetts, Vermont, and Rhode Island, and Connecticut, and just New York and New Jersey. And we're just bombarded.
Well, the reason New Jersey would be on the table is because it's a tantalizing prize, given how close it was this time. New Hampshire just has a handful of electoral votes, but New Jersey has 14. Yep. 14 is basically 28 off the board. You take 14 out of New Jersey, you swing 28 points because you took it, the other guy doesn't get it. So that's huge, and I think that Scott Pressler could do very well there. And the reality is, if I'm looking at the map here of the election, there's a band of conservatism in the Northeast and then along the Atlantic Ocean in the south of New Jersey, southern Jersey. It's that middle portion that runs up and bends towards New York that's all leftist, and that's the part that needs to be changed. It's doable. I think that's where the focus should be.
What Scott needs to do is he needs to duplicate himself.
Yeah, he needs to clone himself. That's what he needs to do.
Yeah, that's what he needs. Other people to get on board, learn his skill tactics and what it is he does, and get out there and bombard it and hit it. And he would be very, very effective, or they would be very, very effective if that's what were to happen.
Well, I was introduced to Scott by Ivan Rakin at the CPAC a couple years ago, and he was supposed to come on my program. It just never happened, never worked out. It's a little frustrating sometimes to get some of these people. Another guy that can have a big impact. Oops, I think it's top of the hour. Catch you after the news.
It is top of the hour, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Don't go nowhere. Hang tight, and take a gander at the news.
WSMN 1590. WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Listen, watch, and stream at wsmn.live.
This is a special report from ABC News. California wildfires. I'm Richard Cantu.
I've never seen anything like that. It was engulfed in flames. It was so much scary.
Nick Bertram in Pacific Palisades, California, one of 5 wildfires burning in Los Angeles County.
You look left and there's nothing, and then you look right and it's perfectly fine. It's really weird.
Another fire is raging in Altadena, California.
You can feel the heat of the fire as it is moving from neighborhood to neighborhood, and we keep hearing these explosions as ammunition and gas tanks and other things are exploding inside of these homes and in the cars. And there are some people who are up on their roofs that they have not left. They are using garden hoses, trying to put any amount of water they can on their homes, trying to save them.
ABC's Alex Stone. Sheriff Robert Luna says those home firefighting efforts reduce water pressure and hobble firefighters.
I keep on repeating, I know it's your home, but nothing is worth risking your life.
This is ABC News. Despite objections from Republican-led states, the Biden administration will continue protecting about 2,000 grizzly bears in 4 Rocky Mountain states. The Associated Press got its hands on details of the decision ahead of a planned public announcement. Ranchers would be able to kill grizzlies, killing livestock. A man accused of stockpiling the largest number of homemade bombs in FBI history will be staying in jail until his trial.
Ruling that Brad Spofford has, in her words, shown the capacity for extreme danger, denying him bail, U.S. District Judge Arenda Allen in Norfolk, Virginia. A defense attorney says Spofford is married with 2 young daughters, has a steady job, and never threatened anybody, no criminal record. The judge says Spofford lost 3 fingers in an accident with some of the 150 homemade explosives seized at his home by investigators, plus an unregistered short-barrel rifle and a backpack labeled No Lives Matter.
ABC's Chuck Sievertson. I'm Richard Cantu, ABC News.
This statement has not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
When it comes to my lifestyle and diet, I don't always make the smartest choices.
Touchdown! Woo! Hey, how about another round and some more chips?
But when it comes to taking care of my liver, I do make one very smart choice. Active liver tablets from New Nordic. I used to have real issues with my liver, and at my last checkup, my doc was concerned about my numbers. But since adding a once-a-day active liver tablet, my gut's better, I feel great, and my doctor's happy. I ask a lot of my liver, so the least I can do to say thanks is a daily dose of Active Liver.
You ask a lot of your liver, so give it the support it needs with Active Liver. You can find Active Liver at Amazon.com, or for a volume discount, visit NewNordicUSA.com. Go to new, NORDICUSA.com, Amazon, or ask for Active Liver at your local CVS. New year, new you. New Nordic.
Attention campers, don't get stuck with markups. Other dealers increase freight and prep fees up to 300%. At Campers Inn RV, we never mark up fees. Our mission is to help you camp at a price you can afford, like a travel trailer with bunks, a full bath and a refrigerator for just $13,999. Shop smart and save big at Campers Inn RV. Visit campersinn.com or your nearest Campers Inn RV today. Campers Inn RV, where integrity drives every deal.
Continuing the legacy started in 1904, Roger Pellerin of Gate City Monument Incorporated continues to provide the same high-quality monument, custom headstone, and stoneworking craftsmanship today that they built their reputation on over 100 years ago, servicing Nashua, New Hampshire, as well as nearby areas in Massachusetts, such as Lowell, Billerica, Chelmsford, and beyond. From creating custom monuments to memorialize, to landscaping and granite work or restorative services, each job is done to your satisfaction and is backed by decades of experience and integrity. If you're thinking about stonework, think Roger Pellerin of Gate City Monument. Visit online at gatecitymonument.com. Stop by and meet Roger at 321 West Hollis Street in Nashua, or call 603-883-7141. That's 603-883-7141. Gate City Monument, memorials of distinction for people who care.
The views in
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening. If you're just not tuning in, you're listening to Common Sense Conservatives on WSMN 1590, WSMN 95.3 on your FM dial. I so seldom give station identification. I usually think of it right after the top of the hour break. But hey, it's out there. So let's see, what do we got coming up next? Somebody was asking about our thoughts on Facebook update. He thinks it's a trap for only the 4-year term. Then they know who's a Trumpster. You think that's more attuned to Zuckerberg was just kind of thinking, I kind of made a mistake and I sided with Biden on this nonsense and censorship, and I better get buddied up with Trump real quick before something becomes of it?
Well, for starters, social media can identify who you are, where you are politically. It's
right.
They don't
Easily.
they don't need for you to suddenly start posting things because they ease up their censorship. They know who you are. That's why I'm still harassed on YouTube on my original channel, and that's also why the lie about free speech on Twitter is a lie. Why my channel is so small there, because I've been censored there. But it's not a trap. But what it is that these people are just greedy. Zuckerberg, Gates, these people are greedy. They pretend they want to change the world, make it a better place. In the case of Gates, he hides behind philanthropic opportunities, which comes from the money he derived from wealth illegitimately by selling us crappy software and using illegal monopolies for decades. But I digress. No, so the point here is that Zuckerberg is just reading the room. And when he censored us, he was just reading the room. The leftists were in assent. They demanded that social media censor people, and Jack Dorsey and Zuckerberg just did it, along with Susan Wojciechowski from YouTube. They happily did it because government money flowed their way, and they were allowed to operate, and they did what the government they wanted. They acted as agents of government, and it's the essence they're doing now. Now they anticipate that free speech is back in favor, at least for now, and so they're kissing the ring and doing what they think is necessary to continue to operate and continue to sell their software and their services to the government, making billions of dollars. And that's what it's all about. They don't care about us. Zuckerberg doesn't care. He didn't go, oh, I had an epiphany. We censor people legitimately. The damage they did to thousands of people's businesses and to people who are rising or had fame or opportunity, all gone, all evaporated. Often a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity destroyed. I mean, I can look at my original channel on YouTube, for example. In 5 months, I went from 2 to 23,000 subscribers, and then YouTube censored me over something I did not do because I was a conservative. And that channel, they kept it hidden for 2 years. They restored it 2 years later, and the damage is done. They're still putting controls on it so that people don't find my content. And right now, we're broadcasting on that channel, and 9 people are watching. I had 6,000 people watching my live streams on that channel. I have 9 now. 10. Somebody just joined.
Shadow banning, man.
Yeah, it's real. So Zuckerberg's just reading the room. He only cares about money. Yep.
Oh, absolutely, for sure. And here's another thing. Whenever we have these Dems that come over and have joined, let's say, the Republican Party or the MAGA movement or whatever, I don't like the idea of us putting them ahead of people who have been on the right, who've been there supporting the entire time, doing the right things. All of a sudden, these guys get to the front of the line because they had a little bit of name recognition on the left. So therefore, let's put them up ahead of everybody. I don't like that. Get back in line.
Look, I said this many, many times. We were here before Trump. We were here before the Tea Party. We're genuine conservatives, genuine patriots, and we'll be here after they're gone. The Tea Party is essentially gone now. Trump will do this term, and that'll be the end of his presidency, and it'll be someone else on the stage. But we'll still be here, and we'll still be defending America. We'll still be defending freedom. And that's the bottom line here. They're so fine to saying it's Trump's party. It's Trump this. And while we all supported Trump, the bottom line is that we were here fighting for this. Otherwise, he never would have gotten where he is. You take out the genuine conservative base of the Republican Party, that's 40% of the party that's gone or more. And without us, you can't be president. And that's the bottom line. So if you come along and adopt our ideas and change your view on abortion, Donald Trump, change your view on this, Donald Trump, and this and that, which he did, then we were here first and we'll still be here.
Right. Absolutely. And we couldn't abide, another nepotism case like a Jeb Bush getting in office or somebody like that. So this was what we needed at that time, 2016. We got away from the hope and change, which was never defined, which obviously we saw was nonsense. It was hope and change and pushed to the left, basically more of a nightmare versus hope. And then all of a sudden you get President Trump, who's a reaction to all of that, and a reaction to the Republicans throwing up the same old people who would have probably lost in 2016. I think he was the right person at the right time to be able to win that race, and he did.
I think Trump is the man of the hour for what's going on in the country, and that's why I supported him so much. We need somebody like him to bring this country back around, to turn this country around. But Danny brought up a good point. He said Trump will infringe on our first and our second. He already said it. I don't know about him already saying it, but I do remember his first administration, he had made a statement about taking away the guns. and worry about things later. And I don't remember the details about it, but I do remember making that statement, but then he retracted later on. I think too many people stood up and said, wait a minute, no. But he tends to be prone sometimes to disregard certain things. But do you think that's going to be an issue in these 4 years, or do you think we're relatively safe from that kind of?
No, I don't think that's an issue at all. I think what's going to happen is the honeymoon will end pretty quickly with the media who are busy. You know, you already saw it with his press conference yesterday. So some of the dumbest questions I've ever heard asked. So we get this idiot reporter. First off, they're very disrespectful and rude. They interrupt him all the time. He's answering their question and they have to interject because it's all about them. It's not about asking the question to get an answer for the public. It's all about them. And so that really irritated me, and Trump just handled it very well. But they don't do that to Biden. They ask the vegetable a question, and then they wait for 5 minutes for him to mumble through it, and then that's it. Yeah, exactly. It's like watching an episode of Dick Tracy, mumbles, blah, 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 blah. You know. But Trump got interrupted repeatedly, and the thing is, I mean, questions from journalists like, so you've talked about Greenland and the Panama Canal Zone and using military force. Now, will you authorize military force? When will you do it, and how will you do it? And Trump's like, I'm not going to answer that question. It's just asking. I mean, good answer. But what a moron to ask something like that. You don't ask about tactics and operations. That's like, okay, listen, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to go into Tehran in an hour with a Special Forces Delta team to rescue Americans at the Al-Jabar prison. We'll keep you updated as it unfolds. You don't do that.
No. Don't telegraph your intentions.
Exactly. That's one of the problems with America. We've been telegraphing our intentions for so long. Joe Biden, we will support Vladimir Zelensky till the ends of the earth. Yeah, well, that guy knows he can get away with corruption, no elections, banning the Russian Orthodox Church, banning the use of Russian. Unbelievable what he's done in that country. He's a tyrant, a totalitarian fascist who needs to go.
Courtney says he's not convinced that Trump is that conservative. I kind of think he's more moderate. Do you guys think he's more into moderate? Or?
Okay. Whatever Trump is doesn't matter, because I'll make the following statement. I've said it before, and I know Todd agreed with me in the past. Whatever you think of Donald Trump, and I voted for him holding my nose in 2016 because I didn't trust he was a conservative because I knew his record in the past. What I didn't make allowances for is that he was operating in New York in an environment where you have to be politically fluid and show views so you can get contracts. I mean, it's maybe disingenuous, but hey, it's how business works sometimes. It's not illegal. So Trump was the single most one-term conservative president in the history of the Republic, in my view. What he did across the board was more conservative for a single term. We've had presidents who've had 2 terms who've been more conservative, but not in a 1 term. I think he's the most conservative 1-term president in the history of America. Now have a 2nd term, and I think that we'll see the conservatism will stay there. We're not going to see a lot of leftist policy issues that he's going to endorse. There are going to be some things that are going to irritate people. His support for H-1B visas, which I don't have a major problem with. I have a problem with the enforcement of the visas once they've been issued and the automatic renewals and things like that. That needs to be addressed because we have 600,000 of these people in the country. And also have a problem with the H-1B visa being used to fire Americans to hire lower wage Indians in particular. 70% of H-1B visas go to Indians, and they're hired at like 1/3 or 2/3 of the price of what an American cost. And so we have Elon Musk telling us we have to have H-1B visas, but he doesn't understand why, because he's an immigrant that doesn't see the whole picture. He's not paying attention. He's just seeing immigrants making a difference. Yes, because Americans have been aced out of the marketplace by these companies, which are operating corruptly to bring in cheap labor and push Americans out. This year, and so this is one of the few people saying this, Elon Musk has said, we need these people, we need these people, we need these people for the tech industry. But the tech industry has laid off over 50,000 employees this year, the vast majority of whom were Americans. So why do we need H-1B visas to come in? What jobs are they filling? Are they picking up trash in Des Moines? Or are they working in Winchell's Donuts? No, it's nonsense, utter nonsense. We don't need them. We only need them because of the system was set up for the benefit of corporations, which are screwing us over. These are the same corporations that offshore our industrial production to Asia. And then we can't manufacture microprocessors. We can't make steel. We don't build chips anymore. That's the problem. They are the problem because they want a few cents more on the dollar profit. I'm a capitalist. I'm all for making money. But you have to do it in a smart fashion. You can't ship everything overseas and expect to be the world's most powerful country. We're being eaten alive from within by our own corporations.
Yeah, so quickly the money that you make off of that's going to dwindle because you can no longer make that money because people here are not going to be able to buy your products. I mean, that's for sure. Or there's going to be a disparity where you're going to be the rich guy and lonely in the high castle, and everybody else is basically trying to storm your gates. And that's not something that's sustainable either.
Well, that's an apropos statement. Storm the gates. That's exactly what's been happening for 4 years.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, they're not storming the gates. There's no gate. They're just walking across the river.
Yeah, that's true.
And then when they get over, they turn themselves in because they've been coached on how to do this. I seek asylum. Oh, okay. There's the magic word. Asylum. They only speak English. They speak whatever language, Farsi or Tagalog or whatever language to slip across the border. Asylum. And then they go and they get processed at a facility in Texas by ICE. They don't even have an ID card. You and I can't get on a flight without real ID. They can get on a flight with an arrest warrant. I mean, isn't that crazy? Imagine that. So I want to fly to Texas. I don't have my ID card. Let me go get my arrest warrant from 1986 when I got pulled over for DUI, right? I mean, what is that nonsense? Okay, now I never got pulled over for DUI. I'm just making an example of somebody. So anyway, it's just ridiculous. And then they fly them to our cities. And next thing you know, we have a bunch of outcasts or unusual people who are getting money out of the government. That's our taxpayer money, so they can go shopping and have homes that are paid for while we're paying mortgages and going broke because of Biden's inflation. And they're clogging up our highways. They're clogging up our schools, causing all kinds of issues. And they aren't legitimate. They're criminal alien invaders who fraudulently came to this country because they're economic migrants, and we can't absorb them. It's simple as that. And they don't want to be absorbed. That's the bigger problem. So there's an absorptive capacity issue, but then there's a willingness on the part of people that come into the country to be part of the country. And the majority of these people have no desire to be Americans, to be part of America. That's why they came here illegally.
Yep. They want to be able to take what America has to offer for free, but not actually contribute. You know, whether it's taxes, whether that's learning the language, learning the culture, or whatever, assimilating. They don't want to do that. They want all the free stuff, the easy stuff. I mean, that's not everybody, but that's a lot of them. That's for sure.
Well, the current the problem is that the mischaracterization of things. America has thrived off of immigration for centuries. We've become stronger because of it. Not diversity, but immigration. Because people have escaped religious persecution. Jews, Christians, Muslims have escaped religious persecution. To come to America, we have religious freedom. They've escaped an oppressive totalitarian state in Europe or elsewhere and come to America where they have that freedom. They came here because they were hungry. They came here because they wanted to succeed. And they would come and they would force themselves to learn a language. They would ensure that their children learn English as their first language when they grew up. And they would retain the cultural traits of their origin that were important and useful and valuable. And if society here found them valuable, we adopt them. Kindergarten from the Germans, cotillion from the Spanish, and so on and so forth. But now we have people who are invading our country, and then they're demanding we send money to Liberia or we subsidize what's going on in Iraq. That's why, because their interest is not in our security, but in the land of their origin, which is screwed up, which they came here from. That is not acceptable. When you come here, you can have family in the old country. You can have ties to the old country. You can have a newspaper subscription there. You can fly there and visit. You can even send money back through Western Union. I don't care. But you cannot put fealty to Iraq, Philippines, Tajikistan over your fealty to the United States. If you do, get the heck out. You have no business being here. If your first loyalty is elsewhere, then you should not be here. You should leave forthwith. Here's the door. And by the way, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets, the people in Springfield. Just saying.
Yeah.
Charles just posted that.
Yeah. Oh, did he? Okay. Well,
you said that.
Simpatico. We're on the same wavelength there.
Right?
That's never going to get old, man. I keep using that. Eating the dogs, eating the cats.
But Teddy Roosevelt was right, though. You can't have a hyphenated loyalty. You can't have dual citizenship and think that you can be loyal to both. You got to pick a side. You come here, pick this side. You got to be in America. Give up you renounce the citizenship or wherever. Like you said, you can have the family and all that stuff, but you can't have dual loyalty.
The United Kingdom and the United States have destroyed the social cohesion of their country by allowing people to have anchor babies and or having passports of convenience so that when something happens, they can flee or they can travel using our passport, even though they have no loyalty, no fealty to our nation. The United Kingdom and the United States. There are so many Nigerians. I'm not picking Nigerians. I could pick another nationality, but so many Nigerians that have UK passports that are not British citizens in their heart. They have it so that when they travel, they don't get treated like dirt, because if you travel on a Nigerian passport, you automatically get scrutiny because of the reputation of Nigeria. So they want a UK passport. It's like a golden passport. They want American passports like the golden passport. These people owe no allegiance, no fealty, and they're not really American. You know, I remember I was in the L'École d'État Major, the staff college in Tunisia, and the Colonel Major, which is like a brigadier general, like to speak with the foreign students occasionally. We go in his office, sit down, have some tea, and he asks us how it's going. And we were talking the first time he and I sat down, and he said to me, he says, "You know, my son is an American." "Oh, wow, your son immigrated to America?" I go, No. I went to Leavenworth to go to school there. And my son was born there, so he's an American. I said, oh, did he grow up in America? No, he grew up in Tunisia, and he's an American. I don't think so, buddy.
No. Yeah, I don't like that. If you're there for official business, or illegally, you shouldn't be able to get that status. I'm sorry.
That's anchor baby status, and it's just wrong. Your citizenship should be based on something more than an accident, and it's anyway. So, people are going to come back and say, yes, but you were born as an accident of birth here. No, my family had been here for centuries, and they decided to have a child here. And even if they've just been recent immigrants and come here legally, and I was born here, different story. But when you come here and your first act is a criminal act, you're not real. You should be gone.
Yes, I agree. I agree with you. Yep. Yeah, and don't let the door hit you. Don't come back either. We should fingerprint them. Get all the identification we can possibly get from them. The biometrics, etc. And DNA. Make sure if they do come back, and we got them in the system. Come on.
Well, look, we have some interesting things about America. First off, we have an Icelandic island off the coast in Wisconsin, one of the lakes, the Great Lakes, that was settled by Icelanders. It's the largest population of Icelanders outside of Iceland, if that's still true. We also have the world's second largest Polish city. It's called Chicago. We also have the largest Irish population in the world, and we have the leading spokesman for Depends.
Yes, we do. As a president, you got that right.
That's all stuff to be proud of.
Yeah, but also I think we have more Lithuanians than Lithuania actually has. Am I right? Or something,
probably
something similar.
Probably same. Probably all the Baltic states, Estonians and Latvians as well. I bet you we do. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because the other country that was a big destination for people escaping Eastern Europe was Canada. Canada has a lot of Ukrainians, and we're not talking about Ukrainians recently. I'm talking about Canadians in the 1930s who escaped, and before that, they escaped the Holodomor when the Sovietization was taking place, and they were just murdering Ukrainians left and right, starving them to death, and then sending them to the Gulag. And so a lot of Ukrainians got out and they came to Canada, and they settled out west in Saskatchewan and in Alberta, and they were farmers, so they grew wheat, and they fit right in. So, yep, interesting how that happens.
Yeah, good deal. Yeah, and it's funny is that like you said, the people that come from certain countries, they go to similar places in our own country that kind of resembles their homeland. It's kind of wild.
Well, to be fair, if I was settling somewhere else, I'd probably settle in a temperate environment. Not interested in a tropical environment. I've lived in that. You can have it. I'm not interested in one of the band of the world's deserts that goes all the way across the planet at a certain latitude. You can keep that. I am interested in a temperate environment, which means I'm limited to parts of Europe, to North America, to Chile, parts of Chile, and then a small swath of South Africa and parts of Japan. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's
maybe New Zealand, Australia, but I'd be stretching it there.
Yeah, some of those places very, very nice for sure. Yeah. I don't want to be freezing, too much around the year. A couple months in wintertime, perfectly fine. But I love having all the seasons.
Well, you say that, and I agree. But as I was shoveling snow a couple of days ago, that was actually was pretty good. It was all powder. It was pretty easy. I was done shoveling in about 20 minutes total. Went pretty fast.
Yeah, you don't want to get the pack down, and next thing you know, it turns into ice, and then now you got it there for weeks for sure.
That reminds
me. The difference is light fluffy snow or wet snow.
Powder's the difference. But okay, I'm gonna put on my what's that movie Gran Torino? I'm putting on my Get Off My Lawn hat. Okay,
yeah,
it's time to get off my lawn. I get incredibly annoyed by people when the snow falls that walk on sidewalks when you're in a quiet residential neighborhood when they're out walking their dogs, for instance.
Yeah,
walk them in the street, because the plow can clean up that stuff.
Right.
We have to deal with your footprint freezing and becoming ice and making it impossible to clean the sidewalks. Why can you not wait? These people come out at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning before people had a chance to clear their snow, and they tramp down the snow, and then it's impossible to get up. It's very annoying and self-centered. But then I'm also mad about these people letting their dogs use my yard for their business. So anyway.
So then people take Chris's advice, and you start seeing evening news about people getting caught up in plow trucks and plowed into snow banks. And
yeah, but I haven't seen that much snow since I came back to States. I haven't seen that much snow in years. It's been a long time since I've seen that kind of snow. So we'll see. But we do get drifts here, which surprised me in Pennsylvania. We do get a lot of drifts. So anyway, a lot of wind. That's the problem.
Far this year, man. We've gotten some cold temperatures, but we haven't had maybe knock on wood, we haven't had the issues that they've had out there in Kentucky. And
well, there's going to be a big snowstorm in the southern states, running from Arkansas. It actually starts in New Mexico in a band up through the northern part of Mississippi, Alabama, into Kentucky. I think Tennessee might get a little bit of it too. West Virginia is supposed to be coming this week. A lot of snow. I didn't see how many inches, but that storm that just came through here, they kept updating weather charts. It's like the weather reports in the 1970s when they never got it right. I mean, I've been really impressed by the meteorological services the past decade. They usually hit a spot on the nose. There'll be 1/4 inch of rain today. There was a 1/4 inch. There'll be snow today. The wind will be at 32 miles per hour. It was at 32 miles per hour. They've been very good. But this time I saw the models kept changing based on, data they were predicting. And they had, where I live at, anywhere between 1 and 6 inches of snow because they had a band from 1 to 3 and then 3 to 6. And we were on the edge of it. We were on the side of it. We're this way, we're that way. And in the end, we actually were right in the middle. So we got about 3 inches. So it worked out pretty well.
Good deal. Absolutely. Yeah. So let me ask you about the wildfire situation in California. I don't think we talked about that. I mean, horrendous situation. And of course, the Los Angeles mayor's out of the country. Last year cut their fire department budget significantly, which hindered their recruiting, their training, and of course the re-equipping budget. At the same time, Gavin Newsom, I mean, he's just lost in the sauce out there. A lot of his policies and the Democrat policies have led to the situation that's allowed these fires to be out of control because they don't do any real forest management out there, amongst other things. Their policies is just bupkis. And of course, it's kind of created these situations where every couple of years you have these major wildfires.
I've heard that out there. They leave the dead wood and stuff in the forest where people go clean them up. And they tell them, no, you can't clean up. You got to leave it in its natural environment. It's like, well, this is tender. This is a problem.
This is a major problem as to why, and also at the same time, there's just so many people that they have they have no water down there. I know they're trying to make Los Angeles a sponge community where, they can retain a lot of the water. Of course, it wasn't built that way. So it's going to take many decades to be able to even come remotely close to the type of water that they actually need. Because you think about the people who need water, you wash cars, clothes, whatever, daily life. And at the same time, they waste a lot of it as well. I know they've done that for years. So that's created a situation where, it's a perfect storm ready to go up in flames, sadly.
Well, the fire situation is multifaceted, but there's two major factors. You touched on one, the mismanagement of forest. That's part of the problem. But the bigger factor is the encroachment of humans in places they shouldn't be. Sure. They shouldn't be building all these McMansions and homes up in the foothills and the hills of Hollywood. And it's insane. The Pacific Palisades, they shouldn't be there. This is the problem. You want to live that close together? Move to Nebraska in the prairie. Come on. There's no bison out there to run over you anymore. Speaking of the bison again. But the point is that's the problem. These people build these places in places that are ecologically fragile, and we wouldn't have these problems. I mean, these fires have been there since time immemorial.
Sure.
But the problem is that people have encroached on the space. We always get this, well, there was a cougar attack. Well, yeah, because you built 15 houses in his range for getting food. He's looking for something to eat. And you know what? He ate your dog or cat, or that's the cougars. They're eating the dogs or eating the cats. Something's going on. But the point is, it quit encroaching on nature. It's too much. Right. And that's the problem. And, but we never hear that. It's not, we shouldn't have built here. We built this right in the middle of the fire hazard zone. But, we just have hubris because we are humans and we're from the government. We know what's best. Come on.
Sure. I mean, but you look at LA. I mean, the number of hills that they had to level just to be able to start building there. I mean, it was a mountainous and hilly area. And of course, they had to level so many things, which obviously created problems, created many flood zones down below all that, that they added to all these problems.
Yeah, no, it's a serious problem. Plus, there's too many people in Los Angeles. It's too big. There's insufficient water. If they weren't draining
it's sprawl too. They didn't build up.
Right. If they weren't draining Lake Mono and the Colorado River, they'd have no water. But I do have some breaking news. Trump talking about Canada becoming, the 51st state. Canada's Green Party leader, Elizabeth May, has suggested today that California, Oregon, and Washington State can join Canada's provinces. And I say, fine, be gone with you.
Yeah, we'll switch some of those up. You give me those. We'll take some of the other lands.
Give me Alberta and Saskatchewan, and you can have those three. I'll take BC, British Columbia, but the Chinese all have to leave.
Yeah, Chinese got to leave, and of course we'll take some of those other territories up there, some of those islands. Maybe there's some natural resources we can grab too.
Yeah,
it starting to sound like a game of Monopoly.
Yeah, it is. Or no, Risk. We're playing Risk.
Yeah.
But haven't nations done that? Basically since the beginning. You sign a treaty, we'll give you this, we'll give you that, we'll give you this land. We'll give you a right of way to do this or whatever, right away to waterways, things like that. Because that's what Russia's complaining about right now. They have no access to the sea down there. Is that one of their complaints that they're trying to hang their hat on?
No, I don't know. I don't know what their complaints are.
You don't know, yeah.
I'm not listening to complaints. Yeah, no, look, this is the Canadians are just trying to be, look, I mean, leftists in Canada really lost their mind. They're really upset about this. And they lost their mind about Greenland. And before anybody's telling me, I remember they're complaining about, you can't buy people. Like, dude, you can buy land. Get over yourself.
Yep.
Anyway, but the Greenland thing, I think it's fascinating. We spent a lot of time talking about that tonight. It would be cool. And frankly, I mean, if Greenland becomes U.S. territory, I'd go look at buy a little parcel of land there, little frozen tundra. They have to get a jackhammer to crack the ground to put the post in to build my house,
I'm pretty sure if, as I said before, if Greenland wanted to sell themselves out and be bought, it would be by the people of Greenland. It's not by the people of Canada and the choice of people of Canada or anybody else. It's parties involved. So, I don't know these people. It's like you can't rename bodies of water. I think we can if we want to.
Sure you can.
Whatever we want to do. It's our maps. We're writing on them. So what we want to put on our maps, we'll put on our maps. What you do in Mexico, you do in Mexico. Be my guest.
You got to think. Pick a place on the map on the world where people have lived. I mean, you think about a waterway. How many names have waterways had? Lakes or mountains or whatever. Probably dozens of names down through history. I mean, as people change, languages change, culture change, names certainly change. So you can absolutely change a name, not a problem. We change street names. We can change a mountain's name. We can change a river's name.
Wasn't there this big, enormous mountain called McKinley at one time?
That's right. Yeah.
Well, it's now Mount Denali. It's going to be renamed by Trump back to Mount McKinley. But I think we should just make names up. I mean, we call it Mount Haagen-Dazs,
Well, you can write your own map and it can be Chris's World. Hey, Chris Wyatt can have his own map.
Is that like Waters World? I'm Wyatt, and this is my world.
Right?
Yeah. I was thinking Bobby's World, but hey.
I remember Wally World.
Wally World. Yeah, that was great.
That was the only one that was actually good.
National Lampoon's Vacation. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the Christmas one was good. Christmas Vacation was good.
Christmas it's quotable, but it's not quite as good as the original.
Well, that's because that was the first one. It's
Yeah.
Yeah, but not all first movies are great. Sometimes you get a sequel that's so much better. I mean, Alien was good, but Aliens was the best in the series. That was incredible. I mean, I don't know if you give me a score, man. We just got our blank kicked. Calm down.
Take a look at all this plate, Russ. You look at all the plate. Roll them up. That's funny.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What a great. That was a great movie. Aliens was seriously, and that all the 5 or 35 movies they made now, that was the best one. And quite frankly,
35.
Yeah, well, I'm being facetious.
I know. But
it's because they just keep making the darn things. But it's like the Terminator series. If you go back and watch the original Terminator, oh my goodness, what crappy cinematography, what horrible dialogue, what poorly written movie. But it was cool at the time, and we all went for it. And then the next one was better, and the next one's even better than that. So I mean, sometimes
actually coming out of the 1970s, Chris, that was some pretty darn good cinematography for the day.
Watch it today, and you'll be embarrassed
I know
at how
today,
poor
but
quality
we got
is.
CG and all sorts of stuff today. But I mean, when you come out of the 1970s and you see Terminator, it's like, whoa, this is awesome.
And it was practical effects, but you think about it. You watch some of those movies, even in the time, you're like, this movie would be better when we had the better technology 10, 20 years down the road. But at the same time, could they make some of those movies today with, some of the gruesomeness, some of the violence that they had? They probably do some of it, but you'd have to throw in like a social message in there somehow. You know what I mean? A diverse Terminator or something. You'd have to throw that in there for sure.
But the thing is, I mean, it wasn't a question of the technology, John. I've seen movies that don't rely on technology that are made today. They're just far superior because the cinematography, also the directors are better. People know what they're doing much better. And frankly, if you're honest, the dialogue was crap in that movie. It wasn't very good.
It was a budget movie, actually. But
what's her name was attractive at that time, so that added to the appeal of it.
Was she?
I thought she was attractive in that movie. Subsequently, I don't think she's the most attractive woman, but she did marry James Cameron. But so in that series, it got better. But there's so many other series. So, for instance, the Die Hard series. The first one is the best classic ever. The second one was entertaining, but it sucked by comparison.
Yeah.
But then you get to the one where he's in New York, and that might be arguably the best one ever. You know, when he's in New York.
Yeah, I think so, but they should have ended right there. They kept.
Yeah,
it going
then he did the
on,
one
yeah.
in DC. That was stupid. You know, they're milking the franchise there. But
that,
I mean,
that one wasn't originally going to be a Die Hard movie. They changed a little bit of the dialogue and the names, and it was a Die Hard movie.
Yeah, and
they threw in Yippee Ki-Yay, and it's a Die Hard.
And as far as it being a Die Hard movie, it was a lame one. The first one and the third were the best. I think it was the third one was in New York, but those are the best ones. But I mean, you got lines in your head. Yeah, come out to the coast or have a good time. You know, hey Hans,
welcome to the party, pal. I love it.
So there's great lines, man. I'll tell you, it was just incredible. Just the whole concept was great.
Oh, Courtney, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Planet of the Apes.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, but
yes,
that was 1968, man. That was
the best one ever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But
Get your dirty, stinking hands off me, you dirty, stinking ape, or whatever, something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, get your hands off me, you dirty, stinking ape.
Yeah, but anyway, I think but Die Hard was kind of like he was an everyman. You know what I mean? He wasn't some big muscle-bound meathead who can just beat the heck out of everybody, throw them off a building. He actually had to run around, fight, put some sweat into it.
He was like a combination of Sheldon Cooper and MacGyver.
Unlike any Arnold Schwarzenegger, where he took a lead pipe to the head 15 times in a row and come up like a champ.
Right, yeah, and he wasn't some former special Delta Force SEAL operative. You know, no, he's a cop. You know, he wasn't any of that. He had just been a cop. You know, and a mediocre cop, if you will, as far as
and a guy with a drinking problem that was on the verge of being suspended too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you got to think about it. He was apparently at one time you get the sense he was a good cop, a good detective, but life's kind of happened to him, beat him down, so he's not quite on his A game at this point. You know.
So a movie that holds up, because I watched the one that just came out recently, which I think is fantastic, the most recent one in the series. But a movie that holds up is Beverly Hills Cop, the first time.
Oh yeah.
And the last one that just came out is arguably as good, if not better, than the original.
Yeah.
It was incredible what they did. A great movie. Great movie.
I agree.
A tribute to a couple of the actors who are no longer with us in the movie. You notice it in there if you're paying attention. But no, the latest Beverly Hills Cop, Axel Foley, was fantastic. And Eddie Murphy was on his game. It was a really, really, really good movie, and I really enjoyed it. You know, but just, you know, a lot of times they just make crap movies after they make good ones. I mean, Starship Troopers got a lot of flack when it came out because a lot of Heinlein fans, so that's off the novels by Robert Heinlein. A lot of Heinlein fans were just too, you know, devoted to the novels. I've read the book. I've done it, but you just got to let go of that and enjoy the movie. The movie is incredible. It's so funny. It's such a satirical look at totalitarian governments and you know, this military industrial complex and all that. It's fantastic. You know, would you like to know more? You know, citizenship is earned. It's a great movie, but everyone that came after that sucked because they down marketed it. They went direct to video and stuff like that. The Starship Troopers, and I watched them all. They all suck. But that first movie, I mean, they were in their young, hot, sexy prime. Casper Van Dien and what's her name? Oh gosh. The one that played the girlfriend, I can't think of her name. You know, played Rico's girlfriend. Yeah,
right. Doogie Howser on there. You know,
some really they were really at a great time in their careers, and they're all fantastic at what they did.
Yeah,
but that movie got a lot of crap on it. Now, if we go to what's the one where they go with Raccoon City and the T virus with Milla Jovovich?
I know you're talking about. Yeah.
That series. The original was based off the video game. That was fantastic. It was shocking in its originality.
Is it Evil Dead or not Evil Dead? It's
no. It's what is that called? Oh, geez. What is that series called?
Now I put myself on the spot, but I knew what you're talking about. Yeah.
Somebody in the chat will come and give us to it here shortly.
Yeah, great video game franchise. Yeah,
but the movie is great. A couple of the other ones, Denise Richards. That was thank you, Courtney. Denise Richards but Denise Richards was smoking hot in that show. But her character was such a turd. I hated her character. But Denise Richards. But no, the whole thing with Milla Jovovich, that series, the first one was amazing, and then there's a couple lame ones, and there was a good one that came after that. Yeah.
Okay, absolutely. The 28 days later, 28 months, whatever. 28. Yeah, I want to rewatch that whole series. I think 28 years later, it just came out. Last year?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I want to check those out. And
You brought up
go ahead.
Resident Evil. Was that what you were talking
Resident
about?
Evil.
Resident
Thank
Evil.
you.
That's the one.
Thank
Yep.
you. I know,
Yep.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't Evil Dead. I knew Evil
That
was
was
in the
good,
word,
yeah.
the title.
Well, and there's like 9 of them. They
Yeah.
just keep coming out.
Yeah.
I'm looking to see Mila Jovovich, what she did, because she's Ukrainian American. So let me see if I can find how many of these came out. There are a lot of them. But my first time I saw her, I knew she was a model, but first time I saw her in a movie was a movie I absolutely loved. And we'll never get a sequel to it because, it just, I think Luc Besson did it. But of course, he's got dementia now, so he can't do it. But was The Fifth Element. What a great campy movie that was.
Multi-pass.
multi-pass. Yeah, no, he knows. She knows. Yeah.
Another Bruce Willis is in there. Yeah.
Cornelius. Yeah. That was a great movie. Yeah. But they never did a sequel to it. This kind of sucks. I was hoping for a sequel to it. But the Resident Evil stuff. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. That had a lot of good one-liners in it too, though. That was a really good movie.
Yeah, but the Resident Evil started in 2002. That was the first one. With she played the character Alice in that. Then she had 5 years later, she had Resident Evil Extinction. Oh, no, I'm sorry. 2 years later, Resident Evil Apocalypse. So that's 2. Then Extinction was 3. Then Afterlife is 4. And then what else? Then she had Retribution in 2012 was 5. And is that it? She did 5 of them, it looks like. Yeah. Wow. She was in Zoolander too. I didn't know that. Zoolander. Anyway, so we're way off of politics tonight, but occasionally need to take a break.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Kind of strayed a little bit. Did you used to call a show Stray Voltage?
Yes, I did have a segment of my show called Stray Voltage, just random topics we talk about. Still do that. So, yep.
But we don't have to sit here, tonight and get ourselves worked up about Joe Biden. He's on his way out. We're going to have a fresh president in there in the next couple of weeks, and we're going to be able to, discuss his term in office over the next 4 years objectively, I think.
Well, look, I'm pretty excited here. I mean, just keep Trump safe to get inaugurated, and then the 20th of January is just going to be magical. I mean, what day of the week is that? That's the Monday, right? Because
Monday, it's a Monday.
So I'm going to have to plan on a live stream that night on my channel just to run through all the things that are reported that he signed that day in the form of executive orders as they come out. That's just going to be insane. And if it isn't released that day, we'll know by the 21st. But it's just going to be crazy.
I was going to say he's got to get inaugurated. He's got his balls to do, and he's got so much going on that day. It probably won't be for a day or two before the executive orders get signed.
I think he'll sign some that day.
He'll sign that day. He'll also sign pardons for some January 6 people on the 20th. That's going to happen. There's no way he doesn't do that. Look, I mean, hopefully he'll sign executive order organizing Task Force Greenland. I'm available to command it, and I'm ready to go. I've got my snowshoes in the closet, and I'm ready to go. Get me to Greenland. Put me in, coach. Put me in. I'm ready for Task Force Greenland. We're going to go, and we're going to take over. My plan is we'll do an amphibious and an air landing on the West Coast, and the East Coast, we'll just get to it when we have time.
Or just show up and change the flags out. I'm sure you'd probably be all right. They'd be like, all right.
I think we'll come off the plane with big boxes of U.S. flags, which people can raise up on the poles all over the island.
There you go. Done.
And then we'll also bring, bags of Starbucks, and we'll bring some starter kits for Wendy's.
So I'm just kind of curious about, are you the segue to Trump here on the Common Sense Conservatives, or
what do you
hoping?
Huh? Trump? Segue to Trump.
Because we were talking about Trump, he's going to go over there and work with Trump and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. That's just probably doing some advance work, some staff advance. I mean, I'll still be living right here. I'll just be traveling from this location. So kind of like what I did the last 4 years, occasionally travel out there and do something. We'll see how it turns out.
Well, I think all my travel will be north, not to Alaska, but to Greenland.
You won't be doing Common Sense Conservative out of Air Force One or anything like that.
Oh no, I'll still do the show. Just if I'm, I'm on.
We expect you're going to do the show. We're not letting you off the hook. I'm just saying it'd be kind of cool if you're up in our. Hey guys, I happen to be up here in Air Force One.
Will, John. I'm going to have to rely on Starlink because internet connectivity in Greenland is spotty. So just let you know.
Yep. Well, you could be the what? It wouldn't be an ambassador. It would be what would it be?
It'd be the territorial governor.
Yeah, governor. Yeah, you go, governor. You go there and organize elections. I guess you could do that, right? For the first actual governor. Maybe.
It's only 57,000 people. That's smaller than the population of my voting district in Pennsylvania. So.
Yeah, you would have to figure out how to work that because 57,000 people. I don't know. If you got some parts of Canada, maybe you could formulate a state. I don't know. I know it's still far away.
Well, but I mean, it's an even smaller number to work with because the Danes that live there. That's 4,300. So you take them out of the mix after they leave. They can't vote. You take the other 400 foreign nationals. So we're down about 51,000, of which there's kids and there's some people are incapacitated. So you're probably talking about 30,000, 35,000 people to vote. So that's pretty small. I mean, we have more registered Republicans in my district than you have voting population in Greenland. So, you know,
Well, that perspective is probably the population of Nashua, New Hampshire. You know?
Yeah. Let me ask one. Let me ask a question here. Let's say we were to get Greenland. I know we're pie in the sky, but maybe not too far off though. It's very possible. Let's say you get it. The Danes that are living there, you said they would have to leave. What if there was an option to maybe they could renounce their citizenship, become a citizenship of the new state or new country, territory, whatever?
Huh? Say that again.
No, okay. So you said the Danes, the citizenships, they would have to leave. What
Correct.
if they wanted to renounce their Danish citizenship and become Americans? Would that be something that we would authorize, or we would say get the heck out?
Well, frankly, what would probably happen is that if it's transferred to U.S. territory, at that stage, those people would be given the option that are resident on the island of whether they want to become U.S. citizens. That's probably what will happen.
Right, and since they already have a residency there, would we have to give them like a permanent resident status or a certain time where they would have to leave? I don't know how that would work out, because I mean it's kind of new acquiring new territory like this, you know.
Yeah, no, it's similar to what happened with Brexit, with Britain leaving the European Union. The people who were European Union citizens had to get visas or they had to leave. After they were given a period of time, they're allowed to go, but they weren't offered British citizenship because they weren't Brits. So in the case of Denmark, it's only 4,200 people. I mean, the Danes are mostly blonde haired and blue eyed, so we don't mind them joining the party.
Yeah, hey, stick around, yeah.
I don't want to tell you what that strangely sounded like.
I'm not anyway. But I got a super chat here. It came on my social media on my my YouTube channel from Courtney for a couple dollars. Said, "Remember the tragedy of the Franklin expedition?" Yeah, that's a sad story about the Franklin expedition. They kind of got lost up there and found the remains of them a long time ago. They're still looking for some of that stuff on the island up there. So anyway. Yep.
That's pretty wild. Yeah, all these expeditions that we keep finding out. What was it? The Shackleton expedition. That ship's still underwater, but almost like it was, on the day it sank.
Well, I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to fly directly to Greenland. Not going to take any chances with ships. Not going to hit any ice flows. Just take my chances as a commercial aircraft. But look, I mean, I can just see myself now as as the task force commander with my fur-lined parka, going out hunting for seal with the Inuits in Greenland.
Chris's governor is connecting with the people.
That's right. We're going to have a community event here. You got to learn the local customs. You got to blend in. You got to be part of the team. I mean, if I lived in Yellowknife in the Northwest Territories, I'd have to learn Dene, the local Indian language there. So, but I'll try to learn the Inuit language. That'd probably be impossible at my age. You got to be young to do that. But I just would go hunting for seal. Why not? Why not? We'll just have a big fur line. We'll get the dog sleds out there and use a harpoon. All
right. Should be fun. Yeah.
Or we could get really clever, which someone should have done this. Now that Greenland has become something more than just a spot on the map people never pay attention to when they learn or don't learn geography in high school. Now it's in people's mind first and foremost. So like the Fijians, someone in Greenland should start selling glacial melt, pure natural spring water. They make a fortune and it'll never run out. Greenland water, man. There you go. Wait, I need Jeff Bezos or somebody to back me. I need some financiers. I'm going to start the Greenland Water Company. There you go, folks. We're going to sell bottled water all over the planet. And in fact, we'll get clever. We'll sell for the Europeans. We'll sell the carbonated. We'll infuse it with carbon dioxide, taking it out of the air. We'll use the carbon dioxide to fill the water from Greenland so they can shake it up and drink it in Europe, and they can feel all posh. And we'll sell the bottled water to New York, and we're $9 a bottle. They're already paying $7 a bottle for GM water. Man, this is a business plan that was just waiting to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, they'll blame you for having killed all the glaciers for sure. You killed the poles as well, because you're going to go to South America and, you're going to have to melt all that down there and sell that water. I'm sure that's what's going to happen next. I mean, look at this guy. He's out of control. He's killing the world, trying to create a water world. I know you like the movie.
I don't club baby seals. Don't try to lay that on me.
Clubbing the baby seals.
Remember that when we were kids?
We said harpoon.
Remember when we were kids? They used to do this. Walk up and club. That was so horrific, so brutal. I'll never forget that, and that's just what they did. How people do that, but anyway.
Yeah, and that was an army cadence and probably Marine cadence for years, right? Something about clubbing the baby seals or something. I can't remember.
I don't remember that cadence. I remember a lot of Jody calls, but I don't remember that one.
Oh yeah, but that was one of them. Something about. But anyway, I can't remember the whole thing. But yeah, they talk about clubbing the, and that got outlawed and banned because it was too violent or whatever.
So we have just one more show before the golden age of America hits the scene.
Yes,
that's pretty good.
Inauguration, yeah. Well, next week I think probably what we could do is jump into some politics of who's going to be put in place, where, kind of give everybody an idea of who's going to be in the administration. So on day one, they kind of have an idea of who these people are. If they don't know, I'm sure that most of them will have an idea who they are. But talk about that, maybe some of the policies that we can probably expect within the first 100 days, maybe.
Well,
Just
we'll
an idea.
see.
Yeah,
it's an idea, but it's it's exciting times, guys. I mean, it really is exciting times when you think about this.
Mm-hmm.
We've got leftists on the retreat all over the world. They're not gone, and they're never going to be gone.
No,
but they're on the retreat, and conservatism is on the ascendancy because people are tired of just how expensive life has become, how stupid things have become with pronouns and with people calling you this phobe and that phobe when you're not afraid of this person, that person.
When you say that, what I think of 50 years from now, I mean, really a lot closer, of course, but there's going to be schools that are going to take this all on. What happened? All the lawfare, all the leftist rhetoric, the crap that they've done, the BS, the nonsense, the political schemes that they put together. All this stuff is going to be studied, man. This is going to go out throughout history. This is going to be, this is really like a marker point in history.
Yeah, I think if you get enough years away from the 2020 election, they'll put an asterisk on it. I'm sure they will.
Oh yeah, this is going to be studied about what happened, how things transpired, how the country kind of changed against the left, how things evolved politically.
Right. People
I think this 12-year stretch is going to prove the axiom that Ronald Reagan told us, that liberty is just but one generation, or something like that. With that phrase,
he did.
From extinction. You're absolutely
exactly.
right.
Every generation must fight for liberty.
It's not passing the bloodstream.
The revolution never ends.
We lost sight of that as a society. We became fat, dumb, and lazy as a society. I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about a society, and comfortable in our affluence, relatively speaking, for the country, our affluence and our dominant position in the world, and we let it slip away. And it's time for a rebirth. It's time for a reorganization. It's time for the golden age of America. And it doesn't take a lot to change this. I mean, first off, you eliminate the federal corporate tax, and this country will have a golden age just based on that alone. But we won't do that. Trump will hopefully lower it or keep it at 21% and take it back lower. So we're competitive. I mean, we're just dumb. The Canadians have a lower federal corporate tax rate than we do, and they just draw business left and right. So it's time to have some common sense in DC. And if it all has to emanate from the White House, then let's come from the White House. The good news for us, ladies and gentlemen, is that Donald Trump is in his element. He is battle tested, the most intense battle he could possibly face, short of being in combat as a soldier. He's been shot at. He's been shot in the head. He's been lied to. He's been undermined. He's had lawfare against him. He's had endless negative press. He's been called all kinds of things by vicious people the world over. And he's like a Timex. He took a licking and he kept on ticking. And this is a guy who is ready. He is measured. He is calm. He's not putting up with stuff. I mean, like the stupid question, well, are you going to do this? I'm not going to answer that question. That was brilliant. I mean, that's a national security issue. Why would I answer a question like that? We can't give our methods away, our operations. I mean, that's not the Trump we saw 8 years ago. The Trump we saw 8 years ago would have been combative in that conversation. And that's not who he is today. He's I mean, it's hard to say that a man that's almost 80 has matured, but Donald Trump politically has matured immensely.
He's refined. He's more refined.
Refined is definitely true. He's more polished. And he's clearly, the thing that Donald Trump in 2024 is a politician. But you know what? That's okay.
He doesn't take every swing at every pitch in the dirt. He doesn't swing at them. He realizes what they're doing. He just kind of dismisses it. Maybe a casual comment and moves on from it. He lets them know how ridiculous they are.
And instead of reacting, which is the unfortunate part of the first administration, he was reacting. He had a plan, but he's reacting. This time, Trump is proactive on every single issue. I mean, who in the world? I wasn't talking about acquiring Greenland. Who was talking about getting control of the Panama Canal? I wasn't doing that. We were talking about tax cuts. We were talking about ending the wokeness. We were talking about the gender nonsense, the DEI. That's where we've been focused on to try to save the country. Donald Trump has got all that and a whole bunch more. And he's got a team of professionals around him. My only disappointment is that, I'm not a billionaire, so I don't get a job.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Those positions do seem to be reserved, don't they?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, all the top jobs. A lot of rich guys in there. So the irony is that people are complaining about all the rich guys, but most of them are rich for a reason. They're pretty talented at what they've been doing. Most of them. Some have inherited, but most have just self-made, or they've taken what little they had and turned into something special. So we'll see what happens going forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Somebody here is saying, did you hear the
I don't know what that is.
PVD podcast where some European, it moved, name unknown at this point, was giving life on another attempt against Trump, apparently is what they're saying, either the 9th, 19th, or 20th. Not Democrats, but globalists. I imagine there's probably a lot of little whispers of those sorts of things.
Yeah. And I can tell you our intelligence apparatus, law enforcement, FBI, which I know we hate the FBI, but all law enforcement apparatus are definitely, working on this. And then he's probably going to be the most protected man those days leading up to that, especially on that day for sure.
Oh, they're definitely anticipating these things.
Yeah.
Well, I hope so. There's a comment here in my social media coming in that comes right after. It says Mayor Bass of Los Angeles is in Uganda celebrating the inauguration of their new. Well, Uganda doesn't have a new president. Perhaps you misspoken. It's a different country.
Out of the country, but not in Uganda. There's somewhere else. But
yeah, it must be somewhere else, but not in Uganda. Yoweri Museveni is still the dictator. I mean, president of Uganda, as he was when I was stationed in Uganda. So yeah, but this is not unusual. I mean, Joe Biden is, where was he at in North Carolina with the hurricane? Where was he at? And when that thing hit, and where was Kamala Harris at? That's another reason they lost this election. People are talking about Kamala Harris, but I mean, she should be too upset. I mean, she was only in the race for 2 months. It's not like she could be too disappointed. She wasn't going to become president. She knew that already, and then suddenly they thrust her into it, and it just was an epic fail. But anyway, we're coming up on the end of the show, folks. Any questions?
Somebody here says WEF Ponzi scheme of government.
Ghana.
Think about that.
Ghana. That's okay. Yeah, Ghana. Yeah, not Uganda. Okay, that's right. Yep, Ghana. That makes sense. Ghana did just have elections, and Ghana's an interesting case. When they restored democratic elections in the country about 20 years ago, they've now had a change of government from one political party 2 or 3 times now after elections. It's pretty amazing. They switch back and forth, which is pretty uncommon in Africa. And certainly in the Middle East, where once a party gets in, they're there forever, for like 30, 50, 60 years. But in the case of Ghana, ever since Jerry Rawlings has left that power there in the late 1990s, they had one election after another. And after every couple elections, it shifts back and forth. Very interesting electoral dynamic there. Pretty exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, looking forward to it for sure. John, I think we got about a minute or two left. All right.
Yeah, we got about 2 minutes, I think.
Let me just say, one of the commenters in my chat apologized for misspeaking. No need to apologize. We'd like to be as factually correct as possible, and I know Africa, of course, and so that didn't. I had to think for a second, because we've had multiple elections in Africa. Botswana had one, South Africa had one early in the year. We just have one coming up. We just had one in Ethiopia, if I'm not mistaken. But Ghana was a big election; it was a big deal. So, yeah, and Mozambique had an election. Then we still got demonstrations and riots going on there from an October election. Pretty crazy stuff. Anyway.
So somebody's interested in when you're going to shave that beard there, Chris, but you're just kind of tapering it back like
yeah, well, the beard has been shaved repeatedly. I mean, this beard was down to my navel, and now it's up it's above my Adam's apple. It's getting shorter every couple of days. I shrink it up a little bit more, and it's eventually going away. I mean, yeah, so it's going. Will there be a transcript? What, of this program? Nah, there's no transcript.
That's go back and re-listen, bro.
That's high tech. We don't have those kind of sponsors.
Yeah. Well, if you go to YouTube, you could download whatever the text is. It gets it wrong 70% of the time, or maybe 30% of the time at this point. But yeah, you can go get a text there. There you go.
No transcript. You just got to tune in and watch the program and hear what we say.
So you're going to be removed from Billy Painter's Bearded Patriots Club there, Chris? Or
I'm a founding member of that organization, so they can't remove me.
Oh, wow. There you go. No hair on the face, but he's still there.
Well, I'll go down to the Clooney look for a little bit.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I guess that's our show for tonight. We hope you got something out of it, enjoyed it, a little bit of entertainment, if nothing else. And have yourselves a good week, and always remember to listen to WSMN, and week on.